Welcome to A Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav, and my pronouns are they, them.
And my name's Harmut, and my pronouns are Hershey, like the chocolate.
And I'm Kate, she, her.
And this is the Mystery Night. In this episode, we have a new Dunk and Egg story, and we have a new guest. Yay!
Yay!
I'm crying already. I literally, for some reason, as soon as we got on and started talking, I've just been like crying, and I don't know why. But not like emotionally crying, just like my eyes do this thing sometimes where I just start crying. So here we are. So
I was gonna say, are you just excited to be done with these short stories? Is it just like like relief?
No, I'm kind of sad. And like, I was saying this off air, but I went back and listened to our episode covering like the first Dunk and Egg book, the second Dunk and Egg book, and I went back and like read all my notes and everything. And I think part of why I did all of that, so like I didn't have to do all of that. I could have done some of it, you know? But I think the reason why I did all of it was just because I've built an attachment now. I was saying this in our wrap up for this book, like just our last episode, like the fact that we're done the third book and we're 60% through the written series stresses me out because I hate endings and I hate change. So I think just the fact that it's
you
like,
still
okay,
have plenty to go.
I know, but just the fact that we've covered all the Dunk and Egg, like, that's so sad. Like, I don't like that. So I think part of me was just, like, trying to, like, keep it alive. So I think, like, reading the first one, I was definitely like, why are we doing this again? Like, why does this matter? But now I'm kind of like, oh, I'm so happy we did it, but why is it done? So, I don't know. I have, like, a weird emotional attachment to Dunk and Egg now. It's unhealthy, but
it's just Vitamin C's graduation playing in the background.
Oh my god.
So, Kate, what was it like for you? Because this is the first and only story you've read, and you haven't even read like the main series.
Oh,
so this
yeah.
is like your first George R. Martin writing.
This
which
is
can
my
be a bit.
Yeah. This is my introduction to George Robert Martin. He's, my God, he's
Them words.
he's a wordy bitch. And I just, like, I understand, like, I understand when you, and as I was telling Nev and Harmut before we hopped in, this is the first book that I have read in a while. And
oh my god.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for doing all that.
No, I mean, it's
iconic.
Well, here's the thing. I did just read it as a Word document. So it's basically just like reading fan fiction. Again, it was totally fine. But it was definitely something where it's a very specific style of writing. And it's a style of writing like I used to read, you know, I used to try to read like chunkier fantasy like this. I read the Lord of the Rings books in like high school. I read The Hobbit when I was in like middle school. So like it's not something that's like fully unfamiliar. I'm just very much out of practice. But it was something where like as I got into it, having literally less than zero context, I was just like, who are these dudes? And I was just like,
given you some context.
No, I loved learning as we went. I was just like, well, these weird little guys. And then I was like, oh, I see what's happening here. These are just their like scrappy on the road nicknames. And so I was like, oh, this is not what I expected. Like, I thought it was just like, for some reason, like, the way these stories were framed, I assumed that they were, like, totally separate, like parables or something, and, like, not plot-driven. They were just, like, a thing happened on the way to the castle, and this is what we learned from it. And I was just like, all right, cool. Just, like, but I think part of that is me imagining, like, you know, the Lord of the Rings books where it's just like, here's a spin-off about a riddle. And I'm like, oh, neat. Okay, cool. Thanks. or, you know, watching the Game of Thrones show where there are enough of those sidebars. It's like, when I was a child, I da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, cool. This is just like a little tangent thing that, you know, will is a morality tale or something. And once I realized that this was like a real fucking thing, I was like, oh, okay. I had to shift gears in my brain a lot. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
I just realized.
Yes.
That. Oh,
please
thank God.
go ahead.
Amazing. Okay.
More the better.
I was like, oh no, I have already broken that floodgate. But yeah, it was. I don't want to say it was jarring, but it was something that I was very much out of practice of. And so it took a little bit. It was a lot of, like having to read sentences out loud to make sure I was getting all of the chunky meaning out of it. A lot of my notes are don't like that.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of, my notes on this are, sometimes it's just just with a lot of exclamation points, because I was like, oh, things are connecting. I know what this means.
Yeah.
But most of it was just, questionable.
What's funny is that this is kind of like an expansion on a tangent, but like something that's a tangent in the main series is this whole story in this. For example, Egg, who is one of our main characters, talks about his brother Aemon, who, FYI, Maester Aemon. And Maester Aemon was always talking about, like, I came to the wall so that my brother Egg could be the king and all of that. So we have that background, like we hear about it a little bit, but now here we actually meet the Egg, like the infamous Egg. Infamous or famous, I don't know.
You know what was so funny is
what?
when they were referring to the egg, but then also we have a character named Egg, like the dragon.
Right,
egg.
the egg in the frying pan, yeah.
But then they
The
were
not so subtle metaphor.
I mean,
Yeah,
isn't he
like-
really the dragon's egg? I mean,
Right.
If you guys think
God.
about it.
That was okay. Not to like get ahead of myself, but that
Please
was
do.
the most ridiculous. That was the most ridiculous plot line I have ever read in a George R.R. Martin thing. That was not okay. I was not okay with that. That was the worst way to like. What? That was like the most cop out.
The egg was
The
inside
ending?
you this whole time. That thing.
Yeah, that was the most cop out bullshit I've ever read.
Okay,
'Cause
wait. We can
when
talk
you're-
about it.
No, I need to say it. I need to say it. I'm sorry. It's just like single-handedly. I was like, what? Like I've never been more mad about a plot line. Anyway, that is all. We will get back to this later. Because
This is the shortest episode. That is all. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We've really got to get on track, because if we don't, we will be here till the morning. And I don't want to do that to Kate mostly, but I also don't want to do it to us.
We're sleepy.
So, okay, wait. Really quickly. Just who dies in this thing, Harmouth? I know that's like a billion people. That's how we always start our chapters, because I wanted to get her Red Wedding reaction to me asking her who died in this, so I started doing this segment.
Nice. Love it.
See, I think like books ahead.
The long game.
So, exactly. So, Harmouth, who died in these chapters?
Okay,
Or this thing?
I don't
Okay, just give me
remember
like
any
the
of their
main
names.
ones.
I don't remember any of their names.
Okay.
The knight dude, like the dude who was in service to Darren.
Yeah, the
Darren? Damon?
Ale.
Ale. Sure.
The one who tried to push Dunk into a well. The one
Yeah.
who drowned in the well.
that guy,
Yes.
yeah.
Him. And then, okay, so we had Damon in disguise as the fiddler, right? And then, or Darren, sorry, brain is...
Yeah, Damon.
Okay, thank you. So we had that dude in disguise, and then we had Ale, and then what was the third guy who was a really big... He did a lot of things, I just forget his name.
Peak. Lord Peak.
Yes, like Gormy or whatever he called him.
Gormy.
Yeah.
Gormy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gormy, that's his name, yeah. Okay, Gormy, Ale, who else died? There were so many deaths.
Guy who's who's butter. what's the
Yeah.
the guy's son-in-law? That guy.
Yes,
Who was like
yes,
the
him.
real like plotter behind everything.
Yes, yeah. And then also, those people we saw die on the road, like at the very beginning.
Oh yeah.
Like the setup.
the Septon.
Yeah, the Septon.
Yeah.
And then, well, did anyone die? Oh, that guy who was like, right at the end was like, hey, I should get credit for tipping you off, but he really didn't do anything, so the dude just killed him anyway.
Yeah.
See, I
Because
remember
he was
all the
boasting like,
insignificant
I
deaths.
screwed you all over, even if he didn't really.
Yeah, exactly. For some reason, those are the only ones
I
can
think
of
that's
right
it.
now.
I think you
think we're
covered it.
good.
So if I can interject, so I truly, when this story, and obviously to jump ahead like Harmit did as well.
Yeah.
This story wrapped up so fast. Like
Yeah.
I was
Yes!
so I could take notes. I had copied this from a PDF to a Google Doc.
Right.
I thought that I had missed some pages. Like I thought that I
Yeah.
was like missing some I was like, okay, well what next? And I was like, that's the end. I was like, this whole denouement was like,
Because they spend so much time
page.
setting it up, like George does. Like, it's a lot of setup.
No,
Yeah.
there was no, like, because I feel like usually there's like okay, now Dunk and Egg are on the road again, and we see like a little bit of cute banter, and then we end it off with a joke. But it really, like, it was really just like, okay, Dunk realizes something, end of story. Like, there was not even like an ending Dunk and Egg together.
No.
Like, there was literally nothing. And especially, I think it especially hit because now there's no more content. So the
Yeah.
last thing we saw wasn't even this like sweet little moment. It was just like the end of like the plot instead of the end of the fluff. And we needed a bit more fluff or just a little bit more because it was like the very last thing we saw was a plot point, was Dunk realizing something that mattered and then just over.
Yeah.
Like, there was no like falling from that.
yeah, I
And,
truly
like,
thought
it
I was missing a
chill.
page. I was like, okay, well what else? And it was just like, oh, that's it.
No, it was weird. It was like
Okay.
all the conflict got resolved in like the same 10 pages. But
Yeah.
70 pages was just like the incline the entire time.
It was like the end of a sitcom episode where it wraps up and then it's like the canned laughter and it's like da 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 da. And then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, what's next? And it's like, oh no, they canceled the show after that. And you're like, what do you mean they canceled the show?
Stop.
What's
That's
next?
So funny.
I was like,
That's so funny, yeah.
and they're like, no, and then. That's it. So
No, it's like they didn't realize they were going to get canceled because they'd already been going for like 8
Yeah.
seasons. They're like, of
exactly.
course we're going to get
We're
renewed for
made of
another one.
money. And they're like,
Maybe
oh.
maybe that was George R. R. Martin too. Like maybe this entire like ever since this was released, he's been on the cusp of finishing the 4th one. So he was like, "Oh, I'll give it to them soon enough anyway. They don't need a proper resolution. I'll give it to them." And then he just never did.
Someone snatched this draft out of his hand. They're like, close enough. He's like, wait, shit, no, come back. Don't.
No, it's like he kept delaying it soon enough that they didn't even listen to him.
Yeah.
It's like the boy
No.
who cried wolf. They were like, "You have spent too much time telling us this is almost done, and we don't believe you
Turn
anymore."
in your
And he's
draft.
like,
You
"No,
are
but
done."
It really is. It really is. But they just didn't believe him.
Well, I wish she would do that with the 6th book, because then we would have something.
Let's
True.
go,
Yeah.
baby.
You could complain about it, but it would still be
Rocks
there.
fall. Everyone dies.
You know, the
Let's
other-
go. Wrap up that campaign, baby.
Oh my god. The other day I was thinking about what's gonna happen when the 6th book releases, because before...
What do you mean, when?
Because I've been watching...
You are optimistic, my dear.
If that book ever releases, I anticipate
a global
Like-
shutdown.
not a global shutdown, but like a lot of people calling into work sick. Like,
That day.
I
It's
have
like a
something.
phenomenon. It's like the George R. R. Martin effect.
yeah, it might happen because I fully like if it ever comes out, I fully plan to take that day off, like so I
Yeah.
could
So
just
funny.
read and like binge
Yeah.
it.
I'm sure so many people do. I think also just because, like, it would be so big, and the thing I'm worried about is I've been watching, I've been sad, and when I'm sad, I watch more TV. I basically only watch TV when I'm sad.
That's
So I've
okay.
been watching TV,
Yeah.
and I've been watching, like, various things, and so many things reference A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah,
But the thing is, I've been rewatching things. So
Yeah.
these are like spoilers, or not spoilers, but like things that I've been exposed to. Like the amount of things that will just randomly be like, haha, you're my Khaleesi, and like move on. And I just never like knew or caught that.
Like
going-
what?
So if the 6th book ever comes out, Like, how am I gonna avoid spoilers, you guys? Like, I can't.
Well, you won't have to, because you'll be reading it pretty much simultaneously.
Yeah. You'll be caught up. You'll be one of the few nerds who's actually caught up. You'll be like, move. Step aside, you fake fans.
But what if it releases, like, right now? Then,
Okay,
like, I have
okay.
so much
We're getting on people. Huge story to tell. Let's write it in.
Okay.
It didn't need
Okay,
to be this long.
I'm going
I'm
to
just
do
saying,
my
it didn't need to be this long. We got this.
Okay. I'm going to do a quick recap of like the events of the Blackfire Rebellion and the events of the previous two stories, like as quickly as I can for Kate's and all of our like, benefit.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah. So there was King Aegon IV.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a king. He loved having sex. He had sex with everybody. And most of those everybody's he was not married to. So he had a bunch of bastards who he was like, oh, I'm dying literally on my deathbed. I'm going to legitimize all of them. And I'm going to give my hereditary sword called Blackfire to my eldest bastard over my already legitimized or legitimately born son or whatever. Like, as if that matters, but we're going to pretend it does because whatever. So he does this, but then two factions form where people are like, Darren, his son by his wife, is his heir. And then people are like, no, Daemon, his son who he gave his sword to and legitimized, is his heir. Creates a huge fight, war, rebellion. Daemon gets killed and his kids get spirited off to the Essos and free cities and in exile basically. Then one of Aegon's bastards was also Bloodraven, but Bloodraven fought on the side of the people. Like he didn't align himself with the Blackfires. He was on the Targaryen side. So he is in with the Targaryen family, even though he's a bastard of Aegon. But he's also the most powerful person in the country right now because he's the hand of the king and he rules everything and he's known to be a sorcerer. And
I was gonna say, is he
have
actually
1,001
magic? Okay, got it.
People think he's a sorcerer and maybe that he caused the Great Spring Sickness because it's also a little bit of the blaming your leaders with whatever is going on in the world kind of thing. And he's known to have spies. That's why people say he has 1,001 eyes. Because he only has the one eye. Because the other one was scratched out by his brother who he fought during the rebellion.
Neat.
Yeah. So that's their thing. But then Aegon's son, Darren, had other sons. And that is kind of where the Dunk and Egg story pick up. And in the first story, we meet Dunk, who has just buried his master, the guy he was serving, and is like, I'm a knight now, so I'm gonna go find myself knight things to do. So he finds himself at this tourney at Ashford where all these Targaryens are there and other lords are there. And long story short, one of the Targaryens is trying to snap the fingers of this one painter girl, Tansy Too Tall, who Dunk has a crush on, but also that's not a cool thing to do. So he raises his hand against his Targaryen, and now he's on trial for trying to kill or harm a Targaryen. So he has to give up either a hand and a leg or fight in a trial by combat. But because some of the Targaryens, including Baelor and Maekar, no, Baelor, not Maekar, Baelor the Blessed, who is the first in line to the throne, to Darren, is on Dunk's side. So he's we'll do a trial by 7, and they fight 7-on-7 to do a trial on combat. And in that, on the opposing side is Maekar, whose son, Aegon's brother, was the douchebag who was doing the torture. The bad. So Maekar is on one side, Baelor is one side, they fight. Maekar ends up hitting Baelor in a way that he dies. So that's why Dunk is to save my one foot, Baelor, the greatest person everybody thought he was going to be our savior, died for that. And also Maekar is now carrying this guilt of having killed his brother. So anyway, Maekar's in this whole situation, Maekar's son, Egg or Aegon, is off like in disguise and just like, hey, I want a squire for you. And Dunk is like, okay, I guess. Eventually, Dunk finds out he's Aegon, but he agrees to take him on as his squire long term because his dad, Maekar, is like, oh, my son is actually going to learn more from you and being out on the road than in like some kind of castle. So they go out on the road. That's the end of the first story.
Oh my god. What? The first?
I only have one more to go.
Hey, okay, for if I may interject. So the Darren and Damon thing, that truly just sounds like a typo. It just sounds like,
it's just a
this is the
one-letter
person,
difference.
and I'm just like, dude, one's gotta be like Matt, and one's gotta be like Jeff or something. You gotta differentiate.
No, but
those
these
names.
Targaryens be naming themselves like the same 5 names.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
No, scrolling
real.
through like the family tree, I was just like, "There's too
Yeah.
many of these guys. There's too many of like the same,
Yeah.
the same like the 3 vowels. Just throw an I in there, please. Like just mix it up a little bit."
On top of that, Egg has a brother named Darren as well.
Yeah.
So Egg's grandfather and brother are named Darren. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all on one side, right? Like they're
Yeah.
on the red dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Egg's brother was also kind of like prophetic. So that
Yeah.
also fucked me up a lot. Where I
He's
was
the
just
one
like,
whose dreams like Dunk thinks back to.
Wait, so the
'Cause he-
grandfather or the son?
No,
Which
the
one?
brother. the brother.
Okay.
Because the brother was also at the tourney.
Got it.
Because
Okay.
Egg is the 4th son of a 4th son.
Okay. Okay. So Egg is Egg in actual danger? Just because he's
In
a
danger?
Yeah, like is he in danger because he's a Targaryen, or is it like is he just like
But
living
in
life?
danger when?
I
Like
thought just
when
in,
they're
like,
out
at
on the
the end of
road?
I think just in general, like through the story, is it just like
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, actually like right now in the current present story, there's like Maekar doesn't like Bloodraven, so there's a bit of conflict there.
Okay.
But other than that, on the Targaryen side, people
Yeah.
are mostly amicable. They're like, okay, you're next
Okay.
in line, you're next in line. Like they abide by that.
Okay.
So nobody's like, I'm gonna kill all these people so that
Okay.
Egg's the king.
'Cause
That's not really at play
yeah,
here.
because I think I'm jumping ahead. I don't know. Sorry.
But Egg is in danger from the Blackfires who are opposing Targaryens.
Right,
Like,
okay.
in that case, he would be in
Yeah.
danger.
A lot of this felt similar to things that I don't know if Harmon knows about people protecting like lineages of family and saying, oh, we're gonna make sure you don't die, but you can't tell anyone who you are. And I was like, okay. And like and obviously there are enough different iterations and like complexities within that. But
Yeah,
it felt
I think
like
that just kind of like happens anytime there's like multiple heirs. People are always like plotting.
yeah.
But overall, like amongst themselves, they're okay with each other. Like they're cool.
Okay, but like
Mostly.
on the road, it's just like, hey, shut the fuck up and like don't tell anyone who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't want to tell strangers. Like,
Okay. So
That
just
would
so
cause
not
trouble.
like I'm being hunted, but just the general like we should keep this on the DL.
yes,
Yeah, and
exactly
also
that.
and also with people being like unhappy with like how Bloodraven's running
Doing
everything
and
and
how
just
maybe
being
his
generally
dad's
unhappy
being,
with
yeah.
the royal family. And
Got
then, like, oh, this member of the royal family who's completely unprotected, like, why don't we just do something to him? It's not like anyone
Yeah.
cares if he's
Like
out
he
here
would
with a
make a
random
great
dude.
hostage if somebody knew.
Like that sort
Okay.
of thing.
That
so just
makes-
like those potential dangers
Yeah.
of like being a person out in power, like in the world.
Got it.
But like nobody knows
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Understood.
Okay. Basically, after like getting together, they go to Dorne. They have this whole adventure. We don't actually see that. We catch up with them in this when there's Dunk is sworn to like this hedge knight who was also fought on the side of the Blackfires, and like that's a whole twist in the story. Basically, another trial by combat. Dunk meets Tywin's grandma.
Okay.
Yeah, like he meets a character who we know to be later Tywin's grandmother, and they share a kiss. It's sweet, but she marries this old dude, so he's like, well, I can't do anything about that. So he goes on his way, and then we catch up with them like a few months or a year later at the beginning of this story. Where they have decided that they're going to go to Winterfell.
Okay.
Now.
So,
and I feel like the
go ahead.
biggest thing there was just like, because you know how during this whole time Dunk's like, oh my god, my dude Arlen, who taught me everything, his wife's brother or something like that, right? His wife's brother was killed by
his sister's son.
Oh yeah, whatever.
So Arlen of Pennytree is his master, and then Robert of Pennytree was Arlen's nephew.
Yeah.
And he was killed by this guy, Gormy.
Yeah.
In battle.
Okay. And then you know how like as soon as he realizes it, he's like, oh my god, damn it, you're the reason someone close to like that's why he died. Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah.
How dare you, you know? So I feel like in the second book was just like, or the second novella was just like the whole arc of like, oh, this Eustace guy, and like he fought on the side of the Black Dragon, and like I'm serving him, so clearly they don't all suck. So I feel like that was just the whole arc.
Yeah,
it's like now he gets here, and now he has both sides of like, someone who he likes who fought for that side, and someone who he likes who fought for that side.
There's good people on both sides. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in this book, it's Egg realizing that because of Dunk realizing it in the previous book.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like that's what I was trying to say is, to me, that's the most important thing from book 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what that is? I was just like glossing it over.
Yeah. No, it's like Dunk is just Dunk's journey of like, oh, you can fight on that side and not be terrible. Which,
I see,
like,
yeah.
During this book, during all like the almost like political confrontations, where he's just kind of like, oh, well, you know, I knew a dude and he wasn't that bad, so there's good people.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was just the whole second book.
And I think at the start of this third one, like, I think that it was kind of hard to get a read on, like, what Dunk's, like,
thoughts and feelings.
Yeah,
like
what side, you know, like, not to say like one side or the other, but like to see like where he kind of stood, because it seemed very much like, well, I don't get involved in and like, well, I'm not interested and I'm just like, I'm like, what's your deal? And I think reading those other books would have told me what his deal was. So.
I think because correct me if I'm wrong, but like, because I think this, like, there was that great deal of space between the first and second book. But between the second and third one, it's really immediate, right?
I don't know if it's immediate, but like, it's less. It's not been like
I feel like
years.
It's not like, okay. So I feel like he's still.
I feel like here Dunk is like
thinks.
20, and in the first story he was 17, in the second he was like 19.
Oh my
like,
god,
you know?
are you kidding me?
I
just
they're
assumed
children.
this man was 45.
No, they're children.
Oh
and
my
that's why some
God.
of his like naive thoughts about like everything, like life.
Oh my god. Okay. When I finally found the line that said that Egg was like 13, I had to put my tablet down and just stare into space for a second. I was like, I knew that this was part of these stories where it's like, oh yeah, this person, like, you know, they're played by this 40-year-old woman. Oh yeah, they're like 22, and I'm just like, I hate everything. What is happening?
That's so funny.
Yeah, Dunk is like 20. He might be like 21, but like not by like we don't know an exact age, but he's around there. And yeah, Egg is like 12, 13, something like that.
I don't have time to reread this and like reconfigure him as like a shitty college kid, you know? Like I can't. I'm just like, no, you're
so funny.
I really should have given you some
I'm like,
context.
no, dude, you have a
That's so
mortgage. I'm
funny.
sorry. Like you know, you're getting AARP cards.
Stop,
Like
that's so funny. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
okay. So
I'm doing my best, okay?
No, you're doing great.
No, you're doing amazing.
This is remember when I texted you, it's fun to discover things on air. This is
Exactly.
that.
I was like, do I need to do any research? And you specifically said, no, it's all good. And I went, okay. Like a fool.
You really said bring on the chaos.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Okay.
Kate's a weird kid. Let's see what she thinks.
As a treat. You know what? I'm gonna do the summary. Harmith, time me, but give me a minute.
Tell us a
Ooh.
story.
Because it's longer than our usual things, okay?
Ooh.
So, and I haven't prepared this, so I'm gonna do it like you do off the bat.
Oh.
So,
Thank you for not making me
Yay.
do this. I would
I
I would
would
leave the
never.
Zoom. I would be like, well, that's been me. Goodbye.
That's so funny. Okay,
Just out.
so in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, summarize.
okay, so Dunk and Egg are traveling up the King's Road and they plan to go to King's Landing. No, not to King's Landing, Winterfell. But on the way, they learn about this wedding happening in Whitehall or something like that. White Castle, something. And they're like, oh, we'll stop by because they have to allow knights in because it's like tradition or bad luck. And there's going to be a tourney and maybe I can participate and win something. Long story short, there's this whole plot to put this kid, Darren Blackfire, in power and transfer an egg to him through like a series of weird set matches in a joust. And it all goes to hell. And Bloodraven arrives and is like, that's it, bitches. Wrap it up.
You're done?
Yes.
You have 10 more seconds. You have 10 more seconds.
I have nothing more
You want
to
to put a little
say.
button
This
on
is-
it? No.
Nothing? You're literally...
Okay.
I thought
3,
wrap it
2,
up was a button.
1.
And
Damn,
time.
you really... Damn.
Jeez.
You spent 30 seconds summarizing like the first 10 pages.
Yeah,
and then you
'cause
spent
that's how
20
the story
seconds
is also
and then you spent 20 seconds summarizing the whole thing.
the
And
remaining
I was so
60
worried.
pages.
No, literally,
Because if
I was so
started any
excited.
detail, I would have to go into all the names and the histories.
No,
and
but the
that made
thing
no
was,
sense.
you spent so much you did do detail for the first part, so it made me scared that you weren't
but
going to
it
make
wasn't
it. But
like
then you
names
quickly
and
fast
histories in
forwarded.
the first.
I know, but it was still detail, and I was about to I was preparing myself to finally be able to make fun of you for taking too long on the summary, and then I could be like, "How do you like them apples?" But now you just did the apples, and now I'm mad because the apples fell perfectly from the
We don't
damn
like
tree.
apples anymore. We're done.
Yeah.
I do want to rename this story Dunk and Egg Go to White Castle. That's a much more fun title.
It's not Duncan Egg stumbled into a rebellion.
Into
plot.
a plot.
Conspiracy
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bless.
Yeah. No, right at the end when they're like, "Oh yeah, so you guys intentionally went somewhere where it was danger." No, we just kind of accidentally stumbled upon this danger. That was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Their explanation was so funny.
Yeah, and it's like, you knew we were coming to help you? It's like, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. You say it. You're the guest. They listen to us all the time.
So here's another thing. Now, the ending and the fact that it was just so oh my gosh, we just ended up at this place, and then it's like the Deus Ex Machina of the entire family showing up to hey, we're here to actually help. I was like, my brain kept trying to derive meaning from that. I kept
Right.
trying to say, okay, why? How did we get to this point? And it was just oh man, that was a wacky coincidence.
I think
And
I
was like,
can
I don't.
help with that.
Please help.
some.
Please help me.
Okay. I have 3 things. I have to go through the first 2 things that are not related to potentially get to the third thing that is related.
I
okay?
trust you.
So
I trust your process.
first thing, I think this story definitely is guilty of the fill in the blanks moments that my mom likes to call Harmith. You remember CID? So CID is an Indian show. It's like a crime solving show, right? And it would be they would go through this entire investigation. They catch the criminal at the end and they sit them down and ask them a series of questions and they fill in the blanks of what happened. And my mom is like, oh, this is the fill in the blanks part. And I feel like that happened a lot in this story where somebody would be like, why did you do that? I did this because. It was a lot of that in the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
A lot of telling, not showing.
Yes.
Kinda.
Yeah.
The second thing, I view when I was reading this story, I was imagining this as old Nan telling Bran this story of a tale of knights, because it has all the makings of a story about knights. It's got a tourney, it's got this guy who's running into maidens, maidens are blushing over him. It's got squires, it's got secret identities, it's got the big ending. Like, I was imagining this as like a tale being told to a kid, and it had a lot of that to me.
Yeah.
Okay, third is actually a question.
Okay. All right.
This is, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Did you have something to say before I asked?
No, I thought you were going to give me the third piece, but I thought it was a statement instead of a question. I will answer your question.
So, oh, wait. Okay. Well, did you guys notice? I don't
Are
wanna
you
give it
trying
away
to
in my
get?
question.
Yeah, are you trying to get us to get? Come
It's
to the
fine.
conclusion and
You
see
can
if
ask
we
a
get
leading
there
question.
before you
We're not
tell
on
us?
trial. You ask whatever you want.
Sir Maynard Plum. What did you think about that guy?
I certainly thought he was in the story. Let
Okay,
me
Harmouth, how about you?
please hold.
No, you look. Harmouth, give
I'm
me your
going to.
thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? You know? I was like, is he like informant? Like, what's he like? There was I just had a lot of confusion because all of his interactions with Dunk at the beginning were very like, obviously when they first meet was just kind of like, hey, vibes, but then like their interactions as soon as they got to white whatever, you know, ever since then was basically, in my brain it's just white milk. Ever since they got there, all the interactions were just him being like, you know, this isn't safe. This isn't like, he was so sus the entire time. And then also at the end, I was like, where did you go? You know?
Yeah.
I was so confused and I kept trying to, because I feel like the rest of it I was putting together and it was great. But with him, I was like, who is he? And then especially at the end when Blood Raven,
Blood Raven.
Blood Raven names everyone, I really was just like, okay, like, who are you? Was basically my thought with him the entire time. I might have had more thoughts. Let me go right to the end.
Okay, Kate, you bring your thoughts now.
I don't want to. I'm trying. No, it's okay.
Even if they were
I'm being sassy. It's okay. I'm trying to find my comments in here. Google Docs is like, I don't really want to help you out. So he seemed, and I'm trying to remember, was he the one who, when, oh, son of a gun, when, Dunk was going to try to check on Egg, he was like, oh, in a minute, don't worry, he's somewhere safe, and Dunk's like, can you just
he's
fucking
with the gods?
yeah, and he's just like, can you
Yes,
fucking
that's the
tell
guy.
me where? Yeah, I was like, you're purposely obfuscating like any progress here. I was like, I don't understand what your deal is. He just like, it was one of those things where like it feels like a, you know, like in a weird fantasy thing where it's like, who are you? And it's like, a friend. I'm here to tell you, da-da-da. And then they disappear. And I'm just like, no, like, what's... It was never clear, like, what... Oh, no, he literally says that. Who are you? A friend. My God, it's right in front of me. Yeah, but I'm like, I don't understand, like, what... Yeah, I just...
Yeah.
Okay.
He
did
I had one
anything-
more thought.
Yeah.
This is why I wanted to look at my notes, because I was remembering a moment, but I couldn't recall the details. But when he said, people wonder... Oh, he said, you know, the people plotting this are wondering how much
Blood
the Blood
Raven
knows about this. And then he was like, I'm telling you, he knows quite a bit. So I feel like during these events, he was specifically the one who, like, tipped him off and was like I feel like he was like
the
one
informant.
I feel like he was like the big informant. But I wonder if he has like some sort of like secret identity. You know?
Yeah.
Not like secret identity, but like he's not just an informant, like he's also someone who where it's like, oh, he's secretly this person and that's what you're about to tell us. Because that's what I wanted the entire time. I wanted him, not the entire time, but at the end, basically as soon as he was like, he's in the Sept, bye, and they had that whole interaction, I was like, I want him to be this like, because also he was like, I'm a friend. So I was also like, is he one of his friends from the King's Landing? Like when, like back in the day, that I kept theorizing that everyone knew that we met was one of Dunk's friends from King's Landing, who'd made their way to a higher, like, not a higher place.
Station or
A
something.
higher
Yeah.
station in life. So as soon as he was like, I'm a friend, I was like, did you fucking know him in King's Landing or some shit? So those are my theories. Main informant and knew him in King's Landing. But I
Yeah.
really hope there's something more there.
Yeah, like I needed him to like pop out at the end and it's like, and this is actually my friend. And he's like, yes, it was me all along.
Exactly.
I needed the it was me
Okay.
all
Yeah.
along. I needed that.
Yes!
Well, let
was
me
he
put
all
you
along,
both
Nub?
at rest.
Yes!
Who this?
Now, this
Who
is a
was he?
theory. This is a theory. It's
I
not
believe in it.
confirmed.
All
I
right.
believe in
But
it.
it's like one of those theories that's so basically true that it's basically confirmed. It's
yeah,
like Rhaegar and Lyanna are Jon's parents kind of
Yeah,
theory.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Totally.
everybody believes it, even if there's no confirmation of any kind.
Yes.
Maynard Plum is Bloodraven.
Oh.
And there's all sorts of evidence throughout the story, which is why I wanted to tell you at the beginning so that I could point it out as we went through.
Okay.
Okay. The closest I got to this was there was a lot of points where I was like, what if Bloodraven's already here? But I never was like, is it Plum? But there were a lot of points where, because especially I think what really led me to that was Dunk constantly in his head being like, how many eyes does Bloodraven have again? How many eyes does Bloodraven have again? How many? And then keeping like 1,001. And I feel like every time he said that, I was like, he's got to be one of these people. He's got to be one of these people. He's got to be one of these people. Especially after when, you know how Damon the fake, the pretender,
Damon,
right?
yeah.
New generation of
You
pretender
can just call
Damon.
him Fiddler. It's
Okay,
fine.
thank you. Okay, so you know when the Fiddler was doing all those things to like, oh, I'm not going to take ransom from you, and then when he went and sat with Dunk and all of them, and he was like, hey, I could sit up there, but I'd rather sit with you. And I know he was doing all of those things to like gain people's favor, but I think as soon as he was doing all of that, and then we found out who he actually was, I think I was like, okay, well then what if everyone else is also just hidden in the crowd? So there was definitely quite a few times where I was like, what if he's here? But I don't think I ever thought it was Plum. But
Yeah.
I like that. I agree with that. I support it.
So that kind of mitigates a little bit of the Deus Ex Machina. It's because it's not like so sudden. It's like a build up.
Yeah.
Like it's always there kind of thing. I know it doesn't completely undo the whole like, okay, now the story is wrapped up. Like we're good to go.
Yeah. I think
But at least it gives something.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just like I wonder who this mystery guy is. I guess we'll never know. Like it's definitely it contextualizes it a little bit more, so it's not just not just there, because it did definitely. You're right. It did have like the vibe of like, I wonder who this actually is. And I was like, oh, okay. But I do like with the title where it's like, oh, it's the mystery night. And I'm just like, I wonder who the mystery night is. And then it was like, it's
Right.
me. And I was like, oh man, it's just this guy. He said the thing. And then I was like, is there another mystery?
There's another mystery night.
I was like,
Exactly.
I like
man.
that better, because the Damon dude being the mystery knight just kind of would feel like a cop-out, because it's like, okay, but like we knew the entire... Well, we didn't know the entire...
I didn't
but,
know.
Okay, fair. I guess that could have been it, but I think that... I was very proud of myself for this, because I feel like I figured that out pretty quickly. So then I was like, okay, that can't be the mystery knight, because it's got to be something else.
Yeah.
So I like it. I like interpreting it as like, Plum was like the mystery knight. Like, even though he didn't fight, he was like,
Yeah.
you know? And
Okay.
and that's also part of like maybe why he didn't fight, because he was like, oh, I saw the bad omens, that's why I didn't fight.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean? As soon as he said that, I think I was like, literally, who are you? Because you're not real right now. Like, I read the bad omens.
I don't buy
Like, are you
anything
a
you're
shaman?
saying. Yeah.
Like, who do you think you are?
Explain yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So let's actually get into it. And I'm going to do like as quick of a summary as I can. And
You
if you
already
folks
did that.
have like, no, not
Oh,
that. Like going through the like actual bits, like, you know, how you go scene by scene.
Yes.
Yeah, that, but I'm
Got
going to
it.
do it fast, as fast, and not be like, they have a mule named Maester after
understand.
Aemon. It's so sweet.
I see.
You're
Okay.
gonna hate me because I feel like I'm about to do that, because I had so many
Okay,
thoughts.
well, if you
No, that is
have
100% fine. Please bring it on, dude.
So if you have like, you know, anything to add, just tell me to stop and I'll pause and we'll do that, okay?
Okay, love it.
Sledge.
All right. I don't know. I'm like so anxious all of a sudden. It's weird. Okay. So Dunk and Egg are going on their way and they're actually leaving Stony Sept, which is this. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
your
first
already?
Yeah, first thought. Okay. So the reason why I thought that story 2 and story 3 were continuous was because I remembered Stony Sept.
No, Stony Sept is in a totally different place. They
Let
were
her
in the
finish.
Reach. Stony Sept is in the Riverlands.
But I thought that Stony Sept was the place where they were for the second book, which is why I specifically was like, oh, it was continuous, because if they left Stony Sept was right after. That's why I said that. So it's not true? That's false?
No, this is a totally different
Where were
place.
they in the second one?
They were like on the border of the Reach and the like Stormland. So like
Got it.
south of King's
Okay,
Landing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
this is north of King's Landing.
Okay. Got it. So we just jaunted past King's Landing then.
Yeah, like
Love it.
they went like they have had some adventures. Like a few months have passed. We don't know exactly how many.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah.
Just like the show. Time is fake. Okay.
Real.
Yeah.
Now I understand. This is familiar territory. It's like, how old is this person? I don't know. How long
we've
is this
talked
taken?
about this
I don't know.
at extent. Like George R. R. Martin's sense of like time and scale is like really off. So like you just go with it.
It's like the idea of like a rich person trying to guess how much groceries are.
Real.
It's like Arrested
Real.
Development, where it's like, how much could one banana cost? $10. It's like, how long could this much travel take? 2 days, and you're like, sure, yeah,
Yeah, but it's also
Maybe on
like
your
bringing
private
back to
jet.
like
Yeah.
the children's tale aspect. Like you don't always
Yeah.
talk about like every single thing. You talk about like the memorable things in somebody's life, like when you're like telling a tale. So I feel like this is like the highlights, you know?
yeah. But he does that
Okay.
in the actual books too, though, right?
No, well, not exactly.
I would.
It's
If there's a single instance in the books where it's like, obviously, you know, insert fantasy name, but June 10th, like if there's one instance of that, I swear to God, I will.
Oh, no.
I'll read the fucking books. I'll do it.
oh no. There's nothing like that.
Okay.
Well, except
I didn't want to read the books. Thank you.
except like
We'll hold
they
you to
have.
that.
Okay. You know what? We're getting off track. Let's
Sorry.
get back to it.
Sorry.
No. It's
You've heard
me.
our podcast. This
It's
is what
my
I do.
anxiety. Okay. So they're going through Stony Sept and they notice this head on the wall, and it's the Septon who was preaching against Bloodraven. That's just kind of to appraises of the political climate. People aren't happy with Bloodraven. They blame him for all the unhappy things happening. But also there's this kind of like reign of terror where anybody who speaks out against him gets killed.
I do want to
So-
note here. This is my first note. My first note was about him freaking out girls in Flea Bottom and with the heads and trying to make them kiss them.
Yeah.
My first note in this
Wow.
entire story is incredibly fucked. That's it.
Yep.
Accurate.
And then
Real.
they toss that head once it starts really rotting into a bowl of brown, which people in Flea Bottom eat.
Yeah, I was like, this is a great vibe. I love this. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
Gross.
just for context. That is my very first note in this whole story.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad that, you know, I feel like all the context we got here for like Dunk's history and like all of that, it just makes me appreciate Arlen even more, you know? Because I think the first two novellas, I was like, okay, yeah, you know, Arlen helped him out, made him a better person, whatever. But I think in this book, it was like really like, he really kind of explained that a little bit more, and I was like, oh, slay, Sir Arlen. But yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
Are we
Wait.
supposed to think Dunk sucks a little bit? Like, or is he
I
just
think-
or is he just a product of his environment and he's just a guy?
I think he's 20.
And I think until now,
I've been
that
20,
really wasn't.
yeah.
I'm 20. I feel like until now that wasn't really a thing. Like I don't remember him like I don't remember
Like, what do you point to specifically?
I think these first couple paragraphs, it was just like a lot of and here's the thing. Having the context of being 20, I'm like, okay, this is very different. I remember men in their 20s. And I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, this and like talking about like how we talk about women and just, you know,
Oh yeah,
you know,
I think that's just like the general vibe of these stories.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so if that is the standard, then like everyone
I think
sucks.
it's like really noticeable since it's your first time reading anything in this world, but it's a real thing. Yeah,
yeah.
you learn to just be like, okay, moving on. Like,
Yeah, you don't even notice it anymore, and it's really bad. Unfortunately.
It's not that I don't notice it. I always notice it, and I always highlight it. I've got a special color for it, just so that I can be like, this is my problematic color of highlight. You know?
No, you've tainted that
but
whole
then I just
color
don't-
highlighter. Now you use it in school, and you're just like, gross.
Yeah, but I use it in school for things I don't like either. So
Stop. That's so
Context,
funny.
love that.
yeah, so I have it in my notes. I just tend not to bring it up like every instance of it when
Because or
we're
else you'd
talking
never get
about
anything
it.
else done. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
I think-
exactly.
I think for me, it's just such escapism that unless it's like super blatant, I've like trained myself to try and ignore it. In this series specifically. I think in the first book, I'd constantly be like, what the fuck? I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that about her. And now it's
Yeah.
just like, because the thing is, as soon as I note it, I have to think about it and I have to analyze it.
Deal
and
with that.
There's no way for me to like highlight it and then ignore it because I'm going to
Yeah.
instantly think about it. So for me, it's like, I just have to be like, no, you can't. This is not
You got to
literary
blinders
analysis.
on and focus on.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think sometimes
Okay.
I just like don't even notice
No, that's
it
fair.
because it's like I have to not.
Yeah, I'm gonna ignore half the notes in my doc then. That's
Oh no, don't ignore
no.
them.
Oh, I mean, you know, it's all good.
no, we want to hear them.
Yeah, we want to
Okay.
hear
I think
them. It's just
I
painful
was
to
just
note them when
explaining
you're
our
reading.
confused looks
Oh, no,
because
no, no.
both of us are just
Yeah.
like
We've trained
we've
ourselves
had like
to-
overexposed or to this.
I mean, like I said, all I've read for pretty much the last 2 years is fan fiction. So I'm just like, I'm good.
You get like the best stuff on these.
I
shows.
really do. I'm like, no. And, you know, that's, you know, AO3, you know, tagging is wonderful. Don't like, don't read. All right. Bye.
I think for Dunk specifically, though, it's also like he just has so much inexperience too.
Yeah.
When it comes to like, I mean, most social interactions, but specifically with girls too. Like he's really got nothing other than having like, a couple of crushes. So I
And
think that
when he
also
was
really
like
comes
running
through.
around in King's Landing with those kids terrorizing the girls, that he was like 6. So
That's
Yeah.
upsetting. That is
Yeah.
deeply upsetting. This is neither here nor there. My Adderall has fully worn off for the day, so this is just what it
Oh.
is. No, so feel free to be like, Kate, focus up. That's fine.
Oh my god.
It's okay.
okay.
Tell
We've
us
got
what
to get
happened.
past the first page. We've got to
Okay.
get past this.
Yeah.
Do
So basically, he
we-
sucked.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, 6 days later, they're going down the road. They're still on their way to, like, it actually tells us 6 days later. They're on their way to Winterfell, and they hear somebody like on the road, and they're like, okay, let's like get to the side because who knows who this is. And it's a bunch of lords, and it turns out to be Gormy and the fiddler, and I keep calling him Ale, but it's like his name has A, L, and E in it, but I feel like there's another letter which I'm forgetting.
Arl or something.
It's Alan. ALYN.
Okay.
LOL, that's
Alan.
funny.
Yes. Alan. ALYN.
You gotta throw
they're
a
going
Y
down the
in
road.
there. It can't be. It can't just be
Yeah.
Alan.
Sorry.
And
Sorry. I love Dunk and Egg interactions so much. I love when he's like, "You're such a prince," and he's like, "Okay, but like, why can't we just like have a pillow? Like, is that too much to ask for?"
Yeah.
well, they can't afford a pillow.
I know, but it's just adorable, and it just like
Yeah.
it ages them too, which is really fun. Anyway, continue. I just
Yeah.
needed to say that.
I
No,
really wish
that's-
I'd known
yeah.
he was like. I really wish I'd known that there was like a 7-year difference between them, and because
Yeah.
literally, like in the context
Oh,
of
when you're like, I'm gonna give you a clout about the head. You
no, dude, literally, I was like, no, this is like a 40-year-old man going, can you stop bitching for a second? And but then I also
Stop, that's
assumed
so
no, but then I
funny.
also assumed that Egg was like some like bratty 20-year-old or something who's just like kind of a dick, and I'm like that.
Oh,
Once again, I've known 20-year-old men. That reads. I get that.
so
And then wasn't getting the context, I was like, I am jarred by this.
That's so funny.
Okay, note to self for future things.
See, that's the
give
thing.
more context.
That is the only thing that I needed. It didn't
know.
It didn't occur to me to ask about their ages, but as soon as it
didn't
said that he
occur
was
to me to
13, I was
tell.
like, whom?
Oh, it's
I
okay.
should have,
It's
though.
like a,
No,
it's
okay.
like a new, it's a new lesson. We live, we learn. But I
knows?
just had one more.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it wasn't obvious in the story. I
No.
think.
Well, it's okay. With the next short story, you... Oh. Wait. Oh, no.
That's so
kidding.
funny.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Harmut, you were
Okay,
gonna say
I was
something.
just thinking, one of my favorite things about Egg that I don't know if we've talked about is like we've talked about how he's a very sassy character and he speaks his mind, which is also like, he's a prince, he's been able to speak his mind other than around his brother who would torture him, but ignoring that. So what I really like about him is like also just like how unfazed he is by things. Like Nav recapped, like in the first book, he literally was just like, I just want to like go on an adventure with this random dude that I just met. Like he's just kind of here. And even when like Dunk was like, "Okay, like we need to hide from like these people coming down the road," he was just kind of like, "Oh, like do you think they're outlaws?" Like
I think specifically in the first story, though, it was like he was seeing his brother who was torturing this person, and he was seeing this like hedge knight stand up for the person and like exhibit honor. So he was like, my brothers suck, so I'm gonna find a new role model.
Yeah,
that
totally.
was part of that.
No,
And I
that,
love that
I
initiative.
totally agree, but that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about when they first meet at the inn.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, this random dude, I'm just gonna go off with him and see where it goes." But I do totally agree with what you said, but that wasn't like, I was just talking about when he first met, because I'm like, you didn't know him, all you knew was he tried to get you to like put his horses in the stable, like,
And he goes,
So
"You're my
he
new
really
best
didn't-
friend."
No, like he literally
Yeah.
is just like, I'm just gonna go with him. But no, that was so slay when he stands up for. I just love their relationship, and the entire time they're like standing up for each other, and it's so cute. Anyway, slay.
Okay, so these guys that they meet on the road, Gormy, Sir
That's his
Peak is
name.
like really classist. He's like hedge knights, ugh. And this Alan guy also does not like him, but this fiddler guy, John the Fiddler, is really enamored by Dunk. Okay. Did you catch the fact that he's gay and he's crushing on Dunk, Harmut? Because sometimes your gaydar is way off.
No, did not catch that.
I knew it.
That was a
knew
thing.
it.
What do you mean? I literally
Literally-
didn't catch that.
One of our guests revealed to Harmut that Renly was gay because she didn't get it.
Oh,
Gotta say that was
no.
much more subtle than this in the books, but
I thought
Yeah.
he was just like, oh, like this is my prophecy.
Hey, bestie.
Kate, I assume you got that.
Oh, I mean, I just assume everyone in...
yes.
I mean, listen,
as you should.
so funny.
As you
As
should.
a
That's
chaotic
so
bisexual,
funny.
I project a lot, so
That's so funny.
I just assume.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
recontextualize that, Harmut.
Every time.
We're all recontextualizing together here. We're coming into this podcast with
Talk
fresh
about
eyes.
discovering on air.
I mean,
I always
listen.
feel like a really bad ally when this happens to me. Because, like, most of my friends are, like, gay and bisexual people. And so they're constantly just like, oh, this character is gay, or this character is this. And I'm constantly just like, wait, that does make sense. And, like, as soon as they say it, it makes sense. But it's just like, I just don't, like, there's a lot of things that I think I do catch, and that is not one of them.
It's like the queer version of like I don't see color. It's like, oh, I don't see orientation. I'm just like, no, we're hitting on each other. This is happening.
No, and yeah.
You just have no gaydar, like
I
none
really
whatsoever.
don't. It's really just like,
You've like crushed on people and been like, and then been like, oh wait, they would not at all be interested in
stop.
me.
No, there was this,
And I look at like one photo and I'm actually
no, there was this
Let's
person a few months
reconsider
ago that I was telling Nev about, and I was like, okay, I know that like there was this person, and somehow with him, like it was like I I did have a gaydar, and I was like, oh, I'm worried that like he's probably gay, but like he's really cute. and then I saw like his profile picture, and he was wearing a fucking pearl necklace. And then the next day that I saw him, he showed up, and he was wearing a pearl necklace, and I was like,
girl,
okay, am I just delusional? Like, is this? And then Nev was like, yeah, you're delusional. Like, you need to just like, what are you doing? And I was like, it's fine. I was like, it's fine. I'll just like get to know him. I shouldn't assume. And then I got to know him, and he had a long-term boyfriend.
Oh no, that's worse.
I think you were like, I think you were like, I think he's bi, and I am hoping that he's bi, but no, he was just straight up gay.
I mean,
well, I actually don't know. I just found out that he was in a long-term relationship with a man and gave up on finding out, and it just like hasn't come up ever since. But I think initially I was just like, okay, there's no way he's not fruity. I just really hope he also likes girls. Like, I hope he does.
We hope there's some wiggle room in that Kinsey scale. I respect it. I understand. I mean, listen. The worst thing they say is no.
You.
Whatever.
Did you just say poor straight you?
Yes.
That's so funny. But yeah, anyway, yeah, no, did not catch that, like, at all. Like, I feel like...
And it's so obvious, though.
You know what? It's fine. You know what?
The first thing he says is, I want to, like... I don't know. It's something about, like...
Oh, gosh, now I gotta find it. Hang on.
Like, joust lances. I want to cross swords with you. I've tried men of many lands and races, but never one your size.
Yeah.
That's the, like, first sentence he says.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel moronic now.
And okay, another news flash. Alan is gay for John, the fiddler. And that's why he wants to kill Dunk.
Holy shit.
That makes sense.
Holy shit. I thought it was just like the power lust and like the jealousy. Because I thought, okay, wait, correct me. Okay.
Yeah.
They're brothers, right? But I guess these are Targaryens.
Oh no, they're not brothers. They're just like on the same side.
I thought he was just like one of his, you know how he has like 7 kids? I thought he was one of the other brothers. And I know they're Targaryens, so they are incest coded, but I still was like, oh, well, they're brothers, and he's, I thought it was like Stannis being like, why did
because you were
not
like,
choose
Dunk
Renly?
wants to replace him as a brother, so obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense, because then he was like, as soon as he met you, he forgot all about me, and he didn't even look my way again.
Yeah!
That makes so much more sense.
It really does. Yeah.
Dear God, I feel like a fool right now.
Have either of you seen Our Flag Means Death?
Yes, but not the second season.
That's okay.
Because I still am not emotionally ready for it.
Okay.
I know it's been months.
Oh, no, it's okay. I have seen the second season, and I am not emotionally ready to rewatch it. So that's where I'm at. This entire interaction is, Alan is very Izzy coded of like, oh, wow, you're muscling in on this situation. And it's very Ed and Steed, where it's like, hey, you should stab me. And it's like, this is a sexual metaphor. And it's like, hey, what? What do you mean? just girly things. Come on. Yeah, it's very,
wow.
This is familiar. This is ringing bells. I was just like, I know this character. I know this vibe.
Yeah. So anyway, after that big revelation, but basically Alan and Gormy don't like him, but John is really sweet on him. Mm-hmm. And they are like, you should come with us. And Dunk is like, I'm not gonna. And John's like, okay, well, see you later. I should love to try my lance on you.
I can't. Just,
Wow.
It's like not at all.
Okay, you know what? Also, because I think the entire time when he was coming up, I was like, he doesn't seem to be that into, like, I know, like, he was supposed to be, like, the replacement heir and, like, all of that, but you could, like, you know how he was like, oh, I'd rather just, like, play my fiddle, which now also has different meaning, but, like, you know, the entire time he was like, oh, like, I just kind of want to, I'd rather, like, teach you to fiddle, or whatever he said at some point.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, he doesn't seem that into, like, he doesn't seem very power hungry. Yet, the whole thing of Dunk becoming his Kingsguard, he's so much more into that than into him actually getting the power. And there was, like, a dissonance there, but now so much more clear because he was crushing. So it's still true that he didn't really care about the throne. He was just like, ooh, I like you, you know?
Yeah.
Which makes so much more sense. But the entire time I felt myself being confused about that because I was like, so do you care about the throne or do you not?
Basically, you're just Dunk.
I am Dunk the Lunk think is a castle wall.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's like a fond saying among these stories.
Okay.
Because he, like, it's the way that he remembers his, like, mentor. And the way, like, the audiobook says, in the audiobook he says, Dunk the Lunk, thick as a castle wall. Like, he's got the, like
kind of sing-songy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, like, it's iconic.
That's cute.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they, they head on out. We get like a little recap of events, blah, blah, blah. Lord Butterwell.
See, here's the thing. You
literally
say
read
blah,
this
blah,
today.
blah. I went noted because this was new information for me.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've already recapped that in
Well,
the last hour
okay,
and 5 minutes.
proceed.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
But yeah, so they're like deciding whether we should go or not, and Dunk's like, maybe it's time I, started jousting again, and Egg is just like, it's not, sir, it's not. Like, he just straight up says that, and I love that.
Real.
Yeah, but Dunk is like hoping to win like some little things just so that they can have some more money to get them to Winterfell and have like a bed and food once in a while.
So are they planning to go all the way to the wall? Or is their plan to go to Winterfell?
It's kind of like, oh, we're that far north, why not visit the wall? You know how Tyrion like went to the wall. He was like, I'm gonna piss off the edge of the world
just
or something.
fun. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a sightseeing thing.
Honestly,
Stop.
it's the world's biggest yarn ball. Well, we gotta see it. We're in town.
Yeah.
You gotta
they
go
get
to
to
the
this-
wall. Yeah.
They get to this inn at by the lake, and there's no room for them. There's no food for them. The innkeep basically kicks them out.
She's like, fuck
And
off.
Yeah, she's like, go find those hedge knights that are also camped by the lake there, and tomorrow you can ferry across to Whitehall. And so they're like, okay, fine. So they make their way down to the like where these guys are camped out, and it's so who do they find? They find Kyle the cat, Maynard Plum, aka Bloodraven, and this guy called, it starts with a G, Geldon Ball. Glendon Ball.
Yeah.
Not Gelton. Glendon Ball. There we go.
Yeah.
I should have written these names down. There's just too many of them. The way I think of names is like, it starts with a G. Like, it starts with an A. Like, that's
Yeah.
all I remember. And
Yeah.
I just, like, skip past the rest.
There are so many names in here, and then when the names start changing, I was just like, oh, fuck off. I have no idea. Like, as many
I should have also told you that most of them are irrelevant.
Exactly, yeah. And the fact that, especially with this one, like Glendon, I was just, his name slightly, and it was one of those, like, oh, we call him this now. And it's like, oh, he also
Yeah.
goes, and I was just like, is this the same guy? I was like, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depends on, like, who's calling him.
Yeah, exactly.
And what he gets called, exactly. Yeah, so they welcome them. They're nice, and they're like, okay, we're heading over to the thing there. Are you gonna
This
go
was
there?
so
And they're like,
sweet. Like this,
I liked
like,
it.
hey, let's vibe. I was like, oh, really? And it just like because so far it's like all we've seen is just people being mean to hedge knights and being like they suck. And I know later on they kind of like not like turn on each other, but like a little bit turn on each other. Like he even makes a point to say like, oh, like all the camaraderie of like yesterday night was gone by the morning, but it was still like a nice little like,
Yeah.
like.
and
poor
we're
people band
used to
together
the
and
world
vibe,
of Ice and
you know?
Fire of like current day, like with the wars and everything,
Yeah.
and of Arya traveling through the Riverlands and like not at all encountering any of this.
Exactly.
So it's a different world for sure.
Yeah.
Good old
Ru-
days.
running
question mark.
into someone and not being like, you're here to murder me. It's like, hey, bestie, what's up?
No,
Yeah,
totally.
like, yeah. So they're talking about how there's a dragon's egg being the prize, and
So my note
Yeah.
my note here says, "Oh damn," but also so specifically this says the last. I'm scrolling through as you're reading this. So it says the last dragon perished half a century ago. When the fuck are dragons real?
So dragons are real all the way up to 150 years before Game of Thrones.
Okay,
Before like Daenerys has dragons.
got it.
There's no dragons for 150 years.
Okay.
And this is about 100 years before Daenerys has dragons.
Okay, so this is like getting dragons back, kind of, because this egg exists.
Well, eggs continue to exist.
Oh, right. Shit, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, eggs continue to exist. It's not until Daenerys can like get dragons out of them that it's like a thing.
Got it. Okay. Oh, so
Before that, like in the 150 years, the eggs are just like a collectible.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So, okay.
Yeah.
So the way you're saying it makes it sound like it's not a spoiler at all. I was like, so like as far as this time frame. So like the they disappeared half a century ago, and between then when they all died out and
Daenerys, there's no dragons.
Okay, so
there's no dragons.
understood. Okay, that
Yeah,
is
so
helpful.
like dreams of dragons?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no dragons.
Yeah, okay. Understood. That is very helpful. Thank you.
Which is why when Daenerys has dragons, it's such a big deal.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And and especially with this, like having an actual like calendar of like this has been it's always just like it's been an age, and I'm like, what the fuck is an age? Tell me, give me a number.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, this is about 100 years before Daenerys has dragons.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was also my like thing where I was like, I think because of the whole Daenerys thing, I didn't realize how many eggs there actually were. Just
There's
hanging
like
out.
hundreds.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't think about that either.
I thought there was
Yeah.
like maybe like 5 at most, and like Daenerys had 3 of them, so that's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess now I think it really reframes like the first book and Illyrio giving them as a gift much better, because if there's hundreds, then it's not that big of a deal.
Maybe not hundreds, maybe dozens. I think
But that's
dozens
still,
might be like a better,
That to
It's
me
still-
makes more sense.
It's not single digits. Yeah, you're right.
Because
Yeah,
otherwise,
it's a lot
Illyrio giving them to her would have been like...
Yeah, they weren't like the only dragon eggs in the world.
But that's what was confusing, because I was like, you're making fun of Viserys, you're not really on their side, but then you're giving this thing that there's not any of?
Yeah.
So I think that makes more sense, because it's like enough that it's like, oh, I'm allegiant to you, because this is still a thing that's special, but it's not enough to be a big deal. So
That's a
now
really
that makes
good
so much
point.
more sense. 3 books,
Yeah.
2 books later, I get it.
I love that.
Yeah, 3 books basically, because that happened at the
right.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 books later, I get it, guys.
So
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I know that we are 14 pages into this 80-page story.
It's
However, we're talking like it gets to the talk about Aegon, specifically Aegon the Unworthy, and how everything is happening. And my note here says, why do they keep insisting that the Targaryen house is worth following?
Aegon.
I'm truly sick of these guys as a whole.
LOL.
Okay, so this feels like a full separate episode tangent. Why the fuck do we want the Targaryen? We collectively, why do we keep rooting for them and saying, man, let's follow this family. Man, I really hope something happens here.
So-
like,
Do you mean we as in like us, like you, me, and Harmith and everybody else in our world, or we as in like the people of Westeros?
I'm trying to remember what I meant when I wrote it. When I wrote this comment, but I think what I mean is as the house within the Song of Ice and Fire cinematic universe that we keep following, that all 3 of these short stories are following, that a good, a
Right.
major player in the books are following, that a spin-off TV series is following, that apparently a spin-off TV series is happening of.
Yeah.
Why do
I think that's a really good question.
Yeah, why the fuck do we
I
care
don't think
so
there's
much?
an answer. My guess is probably just dragons.
Is it I was gonna say it's either because they have dragons and that's cool, or it's because they're the most fucked up, and so it's like the Kardashian effect of like, what fresh
I
hell
think
is this
both
happening?
of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if
Both of those.
Kim Kardashian had a dragon,
yeah, exactly.
I'd watch that show. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I answered my own question. Thank you. I yield
Yeah,
my time.
It was
That was
a
a really
great
good question.
No. Yeah, because like we don't stop to think about it, but that is why.
I was like, just the fact that it's like, oh yeah, we really hate these guys, and I'm just, it's like if every spin-off of a TV show was just like, here's the villains, here's this thing, we're gonna follow this, and I'm just like, what happened to the people that I like? What happened to the people that I'm rooting for? Like, what's up, man?
Where's Davos' spinoff right now?
Honestly, let's do that. Bless. Yeah.
I would watch the fuck out of that. I love Davos.
I know you would. I said that specifically for you, not for myself.
Pandering.
Okay, so first instance of like Maynard Plum being sus. Dunk is like, okay, wait, who are they? Blah, blah, blah. What are they talking about? Oh yeah, they're talking about how like Butterwell's grandfather earned this egg is by basically his daughters ended up having a bunch of bastard Targaryens, and this guy's like, oh, if everybody was Dunk is like, if everybody is a Targaryen bastard, then we're all Targaryen bastards. And Maynard says, who's to say we're not?
Ah, I did
Because
highlight
he's
that.
Bloodraven. Okay, so that's like the first like thing of, because I knew this, so I like went through it looking for all the little crumbs, you know.
Doesn't
Yeah,
it
yeah,
help?
I had a
You're watching
special
something and
color
going,
for that. Yeah,
the breadcrumbs.
basically. I don't know. It's like really fun. I like it's like a little like Easter, like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah,
or,
it's like more like solving a puzzle. It's like,
Yes.
it's like for me rewatching the show and like going, okay, I remember this happened 5 episodes ago, so I'm like, okay, we're gonna talk about this again. So I'm like, okay, now to note this, now to pay attention to this, remember this character. So it's like, it's kind of fun to go back and like tease out the puzzle of it.
yeah. So they're basically talking about like the events in the world and how like Dunk's heading to Winterfell because the Ironborn are once again causing trouble in the north. What else is new? That happens like
Those
all the
guys.
time.
This
Yeah.
was so funny. But the
And-
Lannisters were helping out, which doesn't happen all the time, which was weird.
Yeah. And at one point Maynard, so they're like, Bloodraven's not doing anything. And Maynard's like, well, he's got things to do. He's busy. He's keeping his eye on the Blackfires, which, so presumably he's here because he's heard rumblings about something going down. So he's like, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to do the sting operation or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, another little bit. And they just talk and go to sleep. And then in the morning, they get up. And once again, so they're getting ready. Sir Glendon is like kind of doing his own thing. And Kyle's doing his own thing, trying to like ingratiate himself with some of the lords so he can go across with them. Meanwhile, Maynard is gossiping with the innkeep. Another spy-like tactic.
Ooh.
And yeah, Dunk's like, I don't like that guy. There's something weird about him.
Oh my god.
So they're just waiting for the ferry during the day to go across. And they're talking about like the dragon's eggs, and Dunk's like, eggs like, I've got one. All the Targaryens have one. It's just a thing we have.
This was the most this was like talking to your rich friend who's like, you don't, why can't I come to your summer house? You don't have one? What do you mean?
You didn't get a car when you turned 16?
Yeah, like this was,
What, like, it's
but it
hard?
was so
Yeah.
funny. But it was really funny because it was Egg, and I love Egg. But I know that if this had been a character that I liked even slightly less, I would have been very annoyed.
Like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but Egg's like, oh my god, wouldn't it be great if we could have dragons and fly them around? And Dunk's like, wouldn't it be great if I were like Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, which is funny, Kate, because he eventually does become Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
Oh my god, spoilers. It's fine.
That's so funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, because Egg becomes king and he names Dunk his Lord Commander, and then he also names his like first kid Duncan. Like they love each other. I love it.
Shut up.
for them.
That's cute.
Right?
Aw. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dunk's like, why do they call this Glendon Ball guy's dad Fireball? Apparently he was like hot-headed, but also he had like red hair and he fought on the side of the Blackfires. That's all really we need to know about him. And but he was like a hero. Like even people who were on the other side kind of like acknowledge him as having like honor and shit. So that's a thing. And Dunk's like, yeah, let's go to this tourney and maybe then we'll both have a dragon.
I love that.
I just had a question. That was cute. I just had a question. So when they're talking, when he's like, we all have it, why don't you have an egg? Like that whole thing. He talks about like, oh, they have more on Dragonstone, old ones from before the dance. What is the dance?
I don't want to get into details.
Is it the Dance of Dragons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just this big conflict that ended up be all the dragons dying. That's what led to the extinction of the dragons.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna write that.
Yeah.
Which was half a century ago?
Yeah.
Motherfucker. Okay, cool. Okay.
How's that a spoiler if it happened
no,
before?
I
I
think
guess we
the
learned about it after.
dance happened like a little bit more than half a century ago.
Okay.
But it took like couple decades for the dragons to eventually like fully die out.
Got it. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a question.
Yeah.
Also, Egg talks about how, you know, everyone has a dragon, and then he says, like, Aemon and I used to pretend that our eggs would be the first to hatch. Does Aemon in current time still have his egg, or did he have to give it back to go be a maester?
I have no idea.
He probably had
That's a
to
really
give it
good
up when he
question.
became a maester, because, like, you got to give up, like,
You know what?
all
Yeah,
your
'cause-
worldly shit and everything, so...
Yeah,
That
I think they
sucks.
do. I think you're right. So
That's
it's
so
probably passed
sad.
on to some other Targaryen.
But
I
I
don't
want
know
him to
where
have it.
they
That would be
are.
so cool. Imagine,
Yeah.
like, because what I've been predicting this entire time, Kate, is that, like, Danny and Jon are gonna, like, team up and girl boss together. So then if Danny gets to the wall, and then, like, she also, like, meets, like, Aemon again, and, like, imagine if Aemon's like, oh, your dragons, here's an egg. Like, wouldn't that be so fun?
And she just, like, oh my god, like, just a whole separate mission of her just, like, collecting all the eggs and just, like, hatching more dragons.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah, but her like
Oh, go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like,
Kate, you go.
Okay. I was gonna say one of the things that Emily and I talk about a lot is who deserves a dragon. Just
Oh.
random characters. It's just like, okay, like, does this person Davos, we decided, deserves a dragon. Davos would not want one. But I think I know. You know what I'm saying? But that
You
is
could
one
just
of,
give it to Stannis.
exactly.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
but it's one of those things where we're just like, I think at one point we just like stopped and we were just like, this part, like, I think it was like Brienne. We're like, Brienne with a dragon? Let's fucking
Yeah.
go,
Whoa.
my girl.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I'm like this. You know, there are
Yeah.
characters who, like, if you had a dragon, I'm like, oh, yes, you lead everything. Please go.
Aw,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
That's so warm. I love that.
It's cute. Now, what were you gonna say?
Just that the circumstances surrounding like Daenerys hatching those dragons were very specific, and it included her sacrificing her child and husband. So if she wanted to hatch more dragons, she would have to do something of the same scale. So that
But
would
not
just
hatch,
like
but maybe
a
it's
consideration.
just like keep. Like they're
Just have a collection.
Yeah, because it's like she is the last like Targaryen fully whatever, person. So it's just like, oh, like these were my ancestors, like these are my heirlooms. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
It
That's
truly
what I
did. The
Potentially,
sacrifice part
her
of that
dragons
didn't.
could have eggs.
Yeah, the sacrifice part of that didn't even occur to me. It truly, I just thought that it was her walking into the fire with them. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's really well explained in the show. Can you tell? There's so much internal monologue and narration. It's really helpful all of the time.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Okay, so
Anyways.
they finally get to the wedding, and it's like the opening feast or whatever. Like they have like 3 or 4 feasts or something.
Oh, yeah.
But Dunk is seated below the salt, which just means he's not up on the dais. Like, hello, we get that. But poor Egg isn't even allowed in the room. He's like out in the stables.
And he doesn't do the don't you know who I am?
Yes. Although he does have his boot, which is where he keeps his father's like signet ring. And
I didn't know that
to
until
use
the
for
last 20 pages. I'm not
emergencies.
going to lie to you.
Yeah, I
Every time
know.
it's like, it's
No,
my
no, no.
boot. I'm like, what the fuck is happening with your shoe, my dude?
I
But that shit made
think
sense.
he used this boot in the last story,
Yes.
right, Harmad?
Yeah.
No,
Right, so that's-
he talks about it in this one. Like, it's in the very, very end.
About using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he uses it at the end of this one and at the end of the second one.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not
He's
it's not a
already
single
pulled
use
this
item.
card.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Was
But
this a
like
video
throughout
game?
the
My
story, he's
God.
like, I can use my boot, and
Okay.
Nick's like, no, you can't. Like the whole,
Yeah.
they have this whole thing.
Got it.
I do like that Dunk saves him some food in his pocket.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
cute.
adorable. That was adorable.
He was like, I don't know if they're getting fed, so I'll just save him some things. Now, so they have all the guests and they do the wedding procession. A guest of note. Lord Frey of the Crossing was a lean man, elegant in blue and gray. His heir, a chinless boy
Yeah.
of 4, whose nose was dripping snot.
Is this
Meet
Frey?
Frey from our time.
If
Hey,
this is Walder Frey,
I
I'm
was
gonna
thinking this too.
This is Walder Frey.
I'm going to jump off a bridge.
That's
the
what
hell?
I thought, because I was
hate
like,
it.
he's
Please do
a
not.
billion
I
years
hate
old.
this.
Like, it's gotta be him, you know?
So, like, this is just establishing he was, like, a snot-faced
So he's a
kid,
piece of shit the
as
whole
well
time.
as, like, exactly.
Love it. Okay, great.
And he's also the one who made this wedding happen by discovering his sister having sex with a servant and, like, telling everybody about it.
Yeah.
So now she has to marry, like, this old man, even though
Yeah.
she's 15.
That was
yay.
that was one of my other notes, all caps. I said, "Boo, I hate it here."
Yep.
Oh my god.
So there's that.
So he
And
sucked
then-
for his entire life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Love it.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
At least he's consistent, honestly. It's nice to have someone who's been like truly a villain the entire time. Like it's kind
Yeah,
of reassuring
that's
to just
true.
be like, "Oh no, like
Yeah.
you've been shit the whole time."
Oh my god, yeah.
Blech.
Also,
Okay,
he
so then
mentions
it's
how,
like-
sorry, I really felt bad for Glendon. He mentions how Glendon had a hard time, like, getting in.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, he was like,
because
he was-
nobody believes him.
Yeah, and then when they finally do, it was after, like, making fun of, well, we'll get to it, I guess, but, like,
Yeah.
making fun of his mom, and then at one point he notes, like, Dunk notes, like, when this whole altercation was happening, he's like, oh, he looks as if he's, like, about to cry, and that was when, like, that prim, mean knight guy came up, and I'm assuming he basically
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is actually who he is, and, like, whispers in the dude's ear, and then they kind of let him in just as, like a joke. And they're like, wow, haha, now you can go in. Which was, like, so sad, and I felt really bad
Yeah,
for
and they
him.
keep
Yeah.
doing this to him. Like, they
Yeah.
refuse to call him Glendon Ball. They keep, like, you know, calling him Flowers, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these things. It's sucky for him. the
Icky,
guy,
icky.
you know, he might not be that guy's kid, but he's a human being, and he deserves better
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's like toast, which starts off with a real gross Lord Frey telling his daughter to, I don't even want to say it, but
Something gross
basically
and
have sex
misogynistic.
well.
Yeah, gross.
Like, why? Why?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Ignoring that color. Then they toast to Bloodraven. This is when half the people turn over their cups, spilling the wine because they don't like this guy. And Dunk's sitting there like, oh my god, he's got a million eyes. If I don't drink this, I'm gonna be in trouble. But also, I don't know if I like this guy.
Yep.
But eventually he does drink. And yeah. What else? Oh, John the Fiddler gets up and toasts his brother.
Oh, and they also note, the only person that they note actually drinking is Sir Maynard.
Yeah.
To the Blood Raven. Everyone else was like, oh, everyone else in the hall also drank. But, like, he was the one
Especially
where
this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I drank, as did Sir Maynard and many others. You know, which is interesting.
Oh, good catch. I didn't even have to point that one out.
Thank you.
Yeah, but they're eating well. It's fun. And they're talking about just, like, who's going to be at the tourney, like, who's the real competition. And it's not like, I don't know, it's nothing really interesting. So I'm just gonna like skip over it.
Sorry, one more thing. Sorry, I blanked for like the second last thing you said. I don't know if you already said this, but did you mention Fiddler's Toast?
I was just getting to
Okay,
that.
cool.
Wait, was it? Wait, hang on. Are you talking about Fiddler toasting to his brothers?
Yes.
Yes, I did talk about that.
Thank you. Because I heard brothers and then I tuned back in and I couldn't remember if it was that or something else. I'm sorry. My brain went off.
Yeah, I was going to get to when he comes and joins them.
Okay, yeah, cool.
So they're talking about like who's competing and he's like, oh, the guy put me up there, but I like sitting here with my hedge knight brethren. Like, dude, look at how you're dressed. Like, immediately. Like, he's like, I'm a hedge knight, but he's dressed like the most expensive out of anybody
and
in the entire room.
To me, the biggest thing was when they first met him on the road, the way he was talking to both of them, and he was the hedge knight, and they were both lords. And every subsequent interaction,
like Gormy, Alan,
every single interaction ever since being like, oh yeah, you Alan doing this, whatever, doing like so sus from the very beginning.
Oh yeah, like the status was like immediate. Like it was immediately like, you know, he, you know, introduces himself as like, you know, first name or whatever, and everyone else is sir, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like something's happening.
Yeah. And Dunk picked up on that. Like immediately from that moment he calls him my lord instead of sir, you know, John or whatever. So good for him. And then there's the pigeon pie with all the birds and shit.
Gross.
Like, yeah, whatever. Eventually, Dunk has been drinking a lot. And he's like, I gotta go pee. So he runs out. And as he's peeing, he overhears this conversation of like plotting.
Okay, so in this, he hears the plotting, and then immediately he's like, "Oh shit!" And then it, you know, the first voice, and then it says Lord Peak, and I wrote, "Gasp! Who?" I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Stop! I know, because the entire time they were like Gormy, and then they were like Peak, and it was just like you suddenly had to switch it up. Like, come on.
I was just like, what's happening? It was like we were so familiar, but now it's just like, oh, sir, and I'm like, hey, man, I don't know.
Yeah. So it's Gormy, and the guy who ends up being Butterwell's son-in-law. The name starts with H. I can't remember. It's fine.
Yeah.
They're talking about how the prince dreamed the egg will hatch, and you know, he once dreamed his brothers would die, and that happened, but he doesn't have the sword. They're talking about Bittersteel having the sword, so like immediately, like Bittersteel is a major rebel person, you know. So things are going on, and Doug's just like, what? But he's so drunk he can't even like process any of it. So he just goes back inside.
I love an unreliable narrator. Like across the board, like any work of fiction, I love an unreliable narrator. It's so much fun. And especially with this, like I too feel unreliable when it comes to this story. So him just going, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, yeah, what the fuck does that mean, Dunk? Like, help me out, dude. And we're just like, whoa.
George R. R. Martin actually does that a lot. Like, he has a lot of unreliable narrators. So, yeah.
Don't make me read these books. Don't convince me. Don't sell me on these.
Okay.
That's not why I'm on here.
I want you to know about the things that happen in the book. So listen to the audiobook. I don't know. Like, I need you to know what happens because I want
know.
you to be like, oh my God, that's so good. Why didn't they do that?
Yeah.
That's why we keep having you on
One
the
of those things I'm
podcast.
going to point out when I'm on
There
the
you go.
thing tomorrow, on next week.
The thing-
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Not tomorrow. Whatever.
No.
Okay, my brain tired.
We're
It's fine.
sleepy. We're busy. It's fine.
Yeah. So he just goes back in. They have some singing and things. And then, of course, you gross why? The bedding, where they strip this poor girl naked and grope her as they take her to her room.
Yeah.
And I think this is the most up close and personal we've been in this situation ever. Like, even in the books, like, we've heard of it. Like, people will be like, oh, the bedding ceremony is happening. But, like, they won't be in it.
Yeah.
We're in the Dunk's head while it's happening.
yeah.
And it was, like, too much.
Oh, yeah. At the end of this, I just wrote, truly fuck all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's like a lot happening. But the point is to get Dunk into that bedroom so that he can see this egg, basically. Is like, yeah, using, you know, this like sexual harassment as plot device. What else is new? Okay.
Just boys being boys, you know.
Okay, sorry.
Exactly.
Like, as the, during the, like, right before the wedding, Dunk
the wedding or bedding?
Sorry, bedding. Right before the bedding, Dunk mentions that Lord Frey's son had the most annoying laugh he'd ever heard.
Oh, yes.
And it was the hee 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 that we classically associate with Frey, which was my favorite and least favorite thing in the
high,
world.
shrill hiccup of a laugh that made him want to take the boy over a knee or throw him down a well.
Which is so funny because throw him down a well.
He ends up throwing somebody in a well.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
Oh my god.
But yeah, imagine if only. Okay.
Would have saved so many people so much trouble. My God.
Oh my god. Real.
Yeah. So, okay, Dunk is in the room and he sees this egg and he's just kind of observing how cool it is. It's like red.
He goes, I'm gonna touch it.
Is it red?
It's
Red and with like things of whirls of black.
Yeah.
And it's shiny and sparkly and it's cool. And then that's when Guy H, that's what I'm going to call him from now on because I don't remember his name, comes over and is like, put that away, blah, blah, blah. And Dunk's like, oh my God, what was I doing? And this is our first instance of Dunk the Lunk, thick as a castle wall in this story.
Yeah.
Which, if you had read the other stories, you would think of it fondly. If you hadn't, you would be like, what is this?
yeah.
Yeah. So he goes up to the roof. Does he like just go up to the roof?
Yeah, I think he's like, he doesn't want to deal with anyone else. He's like, I just gotta go.
Yeah.
And so
he just like
dips.
slips out.
Yeah.
And he also like needs some space. Like he's feeling like hungover or like nauseous and all those
Yeah.
things. So he slips out and John the fiddler follows him. And he's talking about the castle looking like it's made of snow. And he says, Dunk's like, no. He's trying to flirt with him, right? So this is like flirty flirt going. Like, oh, you're going up to Winterfell. Maybe you could show me the way sometime. Like, he's doing that thing. And Dunk's like, well, there's no way you can miss it. Just go up the road. and the fiddler says, I suppose not, though you might be surprised at what some men can miss. Which is clearly
so funny. I hate that I missed all of this. I just was like, okay, this is weird, moving on. Like, oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, it was kind of like a funny, cute moment.
Yeah.
And so he's talking. He's like, immediately it gets really intense. He's like, I dreamed of you. I've seen you before. So when we met on the road, I knew we were old friends. I saw you in the garb of the Kingsguard, which we know is going to become a reality. We, as in, like, now I've told Kate and she also knows.
I'm part of the royal we now.
Yes. But maybe like reading this, you were just like, "What? This guy's full of shit."
I was
right?
like, good for him.
yeah. And
No, immediately I was like, I've heard this line. That doesn't help. All right, bud. Oh my God, you were in my dreams. Fuck off.
yeah, and you know, he's getting real familiar with Duncan.
Yeah.
Duck's like, I don't like this. This is weird. Only the king can make a Kingsguard, and you don't have any control over that. And the fiddler's like, well, I guess I'll just have to take the throne then.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I would much rather be teaching you to fiddle. But yeah, he's like, I also dreamed that there's going to be there's a pale white castle and a dragon bursting from an egg. I dreamed it all. Now, in the end, we get the resolution that this is the castle, and the egg bursting from, dragon bursting from the egg is Egg declaring himself as a Targaryen.
It's a metaphor.
Which,
kind of,
yes. Yeah, Harmouth didn't like. I would argue
I didn't like
that we don't know that that's actually true. This might actually be
Interesting.
referring to another future event which we may not have come upon yet, and I cannot comment any further.
Oh,
Okay,
but like,
so
wait,
Guess we'll never know.
basically,
wait, okay,
I'm
hold on.
enjoying your
Sorry.
face a lot right now.
Me?
my face.
Or
No,
no?
Harmon.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, but okay. So you're saying it's a spoiler. So during the main series,
I'm saying we
something-
don't have enough information for me to like put it together for you.
We're saying
or
put
like
that sticky
even like
note up
start
on your
to
mirror and
speculate.
just,
for you.
But eventually in the series.
Who's to say?
I am not saying anything.
But if it doesn't happen in the series, then you need to tell me now. Or are you saying that
No.
the series provides enough evidence for you to then relay the
Yeah,
theory?
eventually we'll have enough information that I could be like, you see what they might be referring to here. We heard about in this. Yeah,
Dragon bursting from an egg. Okay.
But
Interesting.
specifically like in a pale white castle.
Do we have any pale white castles in the main series?
Okay, I'll be honest, there's like a few theories surrounding this. Maybe I'll tell you one of them.
Okay.
Because we've already talked about it in the main series, which is that there's a dragon under Winterfell. Like, there's a whole theory about this, Kate.
Ooh, and the pale
And
white
there's,
is
like,
the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Because
oh.
Winterfell is,
That makes sense.
right? So that may be one of them.
Okay.
I like that theory. It's just kind of cool having like a secret dragon
Yeah.
under Winterfell.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of evidence for it, which is why it doesn't come up a lot, but there's like some vague things.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's one of them. So I can give you that.
I like that. I'm good with that.
That is fun.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying it may be a metaphor within the story, but it may be more.
Just put it another pin on your conspiracy board wall. Just set
Exactly.
it up. Just another sticky note with some red string and a big question mark.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dunk is getting uncomfortable and he's like, what do you want, dude? And what dude wants is to make you my own man and raise you high. And my dreams don't lie. You shall have the white cloak and I must have the dragon's egg. I must, because my dreams have made that plan. So this guy is basically like, I dreamt this, so I just gotta go through with it.
And then Doug
Real.
barfs on his shoes.
Not on his shoes, because Gormy busts in.
Oh, that's it. No, right.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you talking about? Because this guy's like spilling beans left and right. Yeah, Fiddler's like, it's fine, don't worry about it. And this is when I think Dunk pukes on Gormy's shoes.
That's it.
Yeah. Eventually, so Gormy and his guys like wrangle the Fiddler away and are like, let's get you to bed. You've got a tourney to fight tomorrow. And
He's
then
like,
he
bye.
yeah.
I'll see you later.
Yeah. He's basically doing all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Gormy turns on Dunk and is like, what did he promise you? What the fuck are you doing here? And Dunk's like, he promised me a lordship, a white cloak, and big blue wings. It's cool. I'm like, why are you telling him any of this? Because he's drunk and he doesn't realize what he's heard. He hasn't put it together yet. But yeah. So this is when he vomits and Peake's like, get the fuck out of here and keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, or else, basically. Mm-hmm. And so he makes his way back down to the hall. And only Maynard Plum remains of his companions, which I feel like is a thing. He would stay there till the very end so he can catch all of the events happening, you know? Okay. Then he goes to his tent that Egg has set up, and Egg's like sitting there reading his sigil book, basically. And he's like, all these people here are traitors. And Dunk's like, ex-traders, not traitors currently.
He goes, no.
Yeah, but they have this like back and forth, and that's the main takeaway from that story, or that scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is when they decide that, you know, Dunk is like, I'm competing, and Egg's like, you shouldn't, but okay, what can I do about it, right?
Yeah.
So then it is the next day. It's hot.
No, that's when they decide that he's going to be the mystery knight. And I said, they said the thing.
Yes.
Or he's going to be the gallows
that too.
knight.
He's not going to use his name.
Yeah.
Because some people might recognize him, and he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
I got to call out that they said the thing moment. I'm good at those.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that moment on your podcast too. I always wait for it.
They said the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
I don't know what you're referencing because I'm not allowed
just
to
like
listen
when
to your
they say the
podcast.
title of the episode.
Oh, yeah,
When
no,
someone
No, I
is
know,
like,
but you
"Winter
said
is coming."
But you said we say it on our pod. We point it out on our podcast when it happens.
I'm confused. What?
Like Kate said, "Oh, we always point it out on our podcast."
Oh,
But
just
I'm
like episode. Oh, just like episode titles and stuff where it's just like, oh, like, God, I can't. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
like
one
the
of them-
first episode is called "Winter is Coming."
Yeah, and
when
like
the first arc says "Winter is
yeah,
coming."
and I think like one of
No,
them at
I
one
get
point was
that,
just-
but I'm
yeah.
saying like, oh, I haven't experienced that because I'm not allowed to listen to your podcast. Sorry, that was
Well,
explained poorly.
if it helps, I also-
understood.
No,
what it
you're fine.
meant.
If it helps, I also do it in every single movie I watch, and my husband is sick of it.
That's funny.
Every
No, I
time,
love
I'm just
that.
like, they said the thing. He's like, I know, and I was like, did you hear? It's a. It's the thing. Okay.
But if you don't commemorate the moment, it doesn't count.
Exactly.
What if they don't say the thing?
Yeah.
Real, exactly.
How am I gonna know what it's
Also,
called?
I think this is okay. They do this a couple more times during this is like, you know, the Dunk teaching Egg moments and the Egg teaching Dunk moments where they say this a few times where like Dunk's because, you know, Egg got into a fight with a fellow squire because he said something mean about his dad, and he's like, dude, you gotta let the words blow over you, like words are just wind. And then Egg's like, no, because words can be treason. Words mean things. God damn it.
Oh yeah, because he got in a fight with kids who were insulting his father.
Yeah.
And so they
Yeah.
do this a couple more times, and I really like this because I was like, so
Yeah.
real. So real, King. Future King.
Okay.
We stand.
Next morning, are we there yet? Okay.
Yeah.
So the next morning, it's tourney, it's hot, and Dunk's getting ready, and he's like, oh my god, I just want to get this over with so I can take off all this armor and not be this hot again.
Yeah.
And Egg's like, it's still a bad idea. You can back off. But yeah. And he's really hungover, by the way.
Yeah.
He's like fuzzy on the events of the evening. And just, it's bits of bad, like, jousting.
Oh, it sounds
Just
like a
bad
nightmare.
on its own.
Oh yeah. No.
But like
yeah.
add like hangover, swelting heat, like just ugh.
I've never been
disgusting.
jousting, but I have had to go outside after having a hangover. And it's not
Oh,
fun.
no.
Yeah, I've had to leave my house with a hangover before. It's not great.
Yeah. The sun is your enemy for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not, but the thing is that half the other people are also hungover, so it's kind of evened out.
It should even
in
it.
terms
Yeah,
of
you'd
that.
think it would.
So people are just, yeah, it's in it. So he's talking to Sir Kyle, who is going to face off against Lord Caswell, who he came here seeking because he used to serve like the old Lord Caswell, and he wants to like get back in service with this guy. And he's like, I'm going to lose to him on purpose. And then I'm going to tell him the story about how I knew him as a kid and I built it, like made him his first sword. And he's going to love me.
Oh,
it's going to be great.
Oh, poor dude. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
He's like, I've got
But
this
Dunk was
figured
like,
out.
yeah. But as per usual, Dunk was like, that's not honorable. Dunk was giving so much Ned, and it was kind of nice.
Yeah. So he looks at, like, there's this line. Dunk did not know how well Sir Kyle wielded a lance, but from the way Lord Caswell sat his horse, it looked as though a loud cough might unseat him.
Yeah.
That was so funny. That was really enjoyable.
It's like, you got this, bro. Figure it out.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, like, Kyle's strategy is, like, you just let them win,
Yeah.
not, like, defeat them to earn their respect kind of win, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a let them win so they are like, oh, what harm could this person do? I'll help him out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he loses on purpose, and everybody's like, okay, cool. Then it's Dunk's turn. And he is going up against Sir Uthor. Underleaf. Okay. I like Underleaf better than Uthor, so I'm
Yeah.
going to use Underleaf.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And, you know, Dunk's like, okay, I got this. And then we have this, like, they go at it. No. First, they go and, like, present themselves to the Lord and the Lady. And it's this whole thing. And, of course, Frey and Walder Frey's there, so we get another mention of him being an annoying little kid. And then they charge at each other. And Dunk is just
He gets his
not
shit
Duncan
wrecked.
today. Yeah. He gets smacked right in the middle of the forehead, like between his eyes. And it just says, later he woke up.
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, this happens to him multiple times. He's had so many concussions over the last, like, 3 stories.
No.
He's like a football player.
Y'all,
True.
This is
Y'all
like
need to
jousting is their football.
y'all
They
need to take him out of
stop with it.
service. Yeah, like, honestly.
Yeah. But apparently he's got a hard head because he survived a blow that was supposed to kill him. And he wakes up to, like, he's in, like, the wine cellar. I don't know. The maester's there. And the maester's like, don't do that. Like, just, like, rest and whatever.
Yeah.
And he also, I love this maester, though. He is so done with everybody's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
He
Immediately-
was so good.
yeah. Like, Dunk is like, oh, tell me what happened. Well, the same foolishness that always happens. Men have been knocking each other off horses with sticks. Like, I just
Oh my
love
God.
his description of jousting. Like,
Yeah.
it's exactly that.
Oh my
And,
god.
like, people have been getting hurt left and right, but this is what happens. And so we learned that Egg refused to leave Dunk's side, which is, like, very
Adorable.
loyal squire
Yeah.
of him. But the maester kicked him out. He also kicked out the fiddler, who was prowling about, checking in on Dunk and saying that he were to have the best of care.
Ooh. Also, okay, not to, like, toot my own horn or whatever, but here I was like, because I was still trying to process the conversation that we had, like, 20 pages ago, when he was like, this is, we're rebelling, basically, but, like, in
Yeah.
code speak. And here I was like, oh my god, Egg is gonna use the fucking boot, which is gonna get them in trouble, because there's people plotting against their family. So I predicted that, like, 20 pages before, so I was very proud of myself.
Except
Yeah.
Egg turned out to be smarter than that. He turned that around a little bit.
Yeah, but still, it still happened. And it was
Yeah,
good.
okay. I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
70%.
Oh my god.
Okay, you know what? That's my trademark. So,
That's true. Harmouth is known to get 70% there and, like,
and
just
then
miss the
delude
last
my
30.
way. And then I delude my way out of it, because I'm like, oh, that's so terrible. That would never happen. Or,
like, leading up to the Red Wedding, she was like, shit is going to die. Like, go down. Everybody is going to die. Like, up to the second to last
Yeah.
episode from the Red Wedding. And then the episode right before the Red Wedding, she was like, you know what? It's a wedding. They're going to reunite. Everybody is going to be happy. It's going to be amazing. And then, like, Red Wedding
Yeah,
happens.
completely
So-
pulled a 180. I was on the ball
no.
the entire time. Like, I knew, and then I just was like, it wouldn't.
What
you
if
know?
everyone lives? What if
No,
it's all fine?
basically. And then I just took that path and went with it.
Oh my
and
God.
then, like, I'll get the entire thing right, but for the wrong reason. So it's always, I end up getting, like, I always say it's, like, 79% of the way there.
Yeah. Oh,
every
that's
time.
funny.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah. So
Amazing.
he's like, okay, how did Sir Uthor? What did I just say? I was gonna call him instead.
Underleaf?
Whatever.
Underleaf.
Sir Yu. I'm gonna call him Yu because his name starts with U. How did Sir Yu do in his second fight? Because he wants to be like, I was defeated. He's hoping that Sir Yu wins the entire thing so that at least he can say I was defeated by the champion, so he can save face a little bit,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah. And he's like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta go do. And he can't remember exactly what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And the maester's like, well, if he can't remember, it doesn't seem very urgent. But then he's like, I would suggest that you avoid rich food, strong drink, and further blows between your eyes. But I learned long ago that knights are deaf to sense. Go, go. I have other fools to tend. I just love this guy.
He's amazing. He's
He is so done with everything.
When he was asking whether Sir Uther won, I really, really hoped that the Maester was going to be like, "Oh, yeah, this guy," and points to him like next to him in the in the makeshift infirmary. It's like, "Oh yeah, this guy." No,
that
no,
would have
he
been
did not
so
win.
funny.
I was really ready
But-
for that. It was just like, no, he's not.
Oh,
good.
yeah.
he's not doing good.
That would have been really
That was-
funny.
That would have been amazing.
He's finally like, I should have listened to Egg. And we're all
Yeah.
like, we all knew the entire time. Especially having followed him the last 2 books. Like, boy cannot fight like this. Like,
Yeah, like he's not a jouster.
yeah.
His like big size and everything doesn't help him. in
Yeah.
this.
He has no
and the-
formal training. Like, he can't do shit. Like,
And the context of it now especially is even funnier because it's not the I'm getting too old for this shit. It's the I'm not good at this. Like it was
Yeah.
never a I used to be good at this and now, age has robbed me of my skill. It's just like, okay, 20th time's the charm. And it's like, no, dude, stop.
real.
Yeah.
That's so funny. God.
Okay. So he heads back out to the turning grounds and he's just kind of looking around and there's, jousting happening and he's looking for Egg. And on his way, he notices the performance troop of dwarves that performed at the wedding, like packing up to go. And he passes this one of them. And he's like, this person smells real bad. This person smells like a privy, which, just like FYI, that's because, it was one of them who went up the privy
I
to
hate
get
it
the
here.
egg. Yeah.
I hate this.
Oh my lord.
So he finally goes, he meets up with Plum and Kyle, is it?
Yep.
Who are just hanging out. Yeah. And they're like, we heard you were dead or dying, so I'm glad you're not.
Okay, wait, I just wanted to ask about that. So by this point, okay, so the reason that they framed
Ball.
Glendon Ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. The reason that they framed Ball was because he was like, I'm not losing on purpose. Like, I'm not doing that, right?
Yeah.
So, was the egg stolen specifically for the framing?
Oh, no. Egg was stolen by Bloodraven's people.
Yeah.
And they found the egg stolen, and they were like, okay, that's a disaster, but we can use this to our advantage by making
Okay.
this guy, frame him for it.
Okay, cool. That's where I was confused because I just wasn't sure about the logistics of the blaming and whatnot. Because
They might have
before-
planned a fake stealing to do it anyway, but I think No, because he hadn't fought yet, so they didn't know how good
That's
he was. No,
why-
the egg got
okay.
stolen,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh shit!" But we can use this.
That's why I was confused after the egg stuff was revealed, because I was like, because I honestly thought that the whole thing was just framing. Like even before Dunk was like, "Oh, they were framed," I was like, "Okay, so is it just framing?" But then when it was like, but then when the egg actually, like, it was just confusing to me. So I just wanted to clarify.
It was just making the best of a bad situation. Kind
cool.
of. Like, we
That
don't
makes
have the
sense.
egg, but we can at least try to get our king. Like, I don't know.
Okay,
That kind of thing.
cool.
Yeah, they're talking about, like, okay, too bad you lost, but, like, what can you do? You just gotta, like, buckle up, I guess. And this is when Plum is like, this is not a good place for you. You should leave.
Yeah.
Like, now.
Yeah.
And also, it's not a good place. It's called White Walls. We've been calling it Whitehall.
That's so funny.
I'm still sticking with White Castle. That makes me happier.
I think I like White Castle too. But yeah, but White Walls is not a healthy place for the boy, which is like another like additional like familiarity that this guy has, which would make sense if he were Bloodraven, you know. And then, you know, Plum's got this whole thing figured out. He's like, so look around this tourney. Who do you think is gonna win? Who do you think? And Dunk's like, the fiddler.
Okay, so as soon as he said that, I highlighted and I said, is this guy secretly someone else? And do I know that someone else? And the answer
Real.
was yes.
I love that.
The answer was
Real.
yes and no in that order. But now I
Real.
do. Yeah, so now I'm good.
Real. I was
Yeah.
like, whomst are you?
Yeah. Whomst the fuck?
Really?
Who the fuck is
Yeah.
Maynard Plum?
Wherefore?
Art thou Maynard Plum? Okay, yeah. So Dunk's like, I just have a feeling. And Plum's like, yeah, I also have this feeling that this fiddler guy's going. And, yeah, and I have a bad feeling for any man or boy unwise enough to stand in the fiddler's way. So,
Settle with a capital B.
yeah. Okay, this is when he finds Egg brushing the horse. He
He's
doesn't
so
want to let the horse
sad.
go.
Oh, so cute.
It's precious, and they like hug and they're happy that, you know, both of them are alive and things like that. But Dunk's like, I gotta give this over to Sir Yu because I have to. That's the honorable thing to do. And Egg's like, well, we could go back to my dad and he could give you the money and he could also like take you into his service. Like, you won't have to do any of this shit anymore. And Dunk's like, no, I'm too honorable for that. But maybe you should go to him. And I'll join some like City Watch or something. So I don't know. It's like sad things are happening. I don't like it. And Dunk's like, I gotta get to it. Hard things only get harder if you put them off, which is true. So that thing that you've been avoiding, go do it. That's a note to self, by the way. I have like a whole to-do list of things I don't like doing, but I have to do, and I just like hide it behind all of my other to-do lists.
Oh, yeah.
Real.
And then you rewrite a new to-do list, and then you move those things back to the new to-do list, but they're still there. Do you ever put make to-do list on your to-do list just so you can check it off real quick?
No.
Instant dopamine hit.
Maybe I should do that.
Just
I
a
do-
little treat.
I don't use that one, but I will use something like wash face because I haven't like washed my face. Like, I'll use something like really easy that I can do,
Yeah.
and I'll
But to me, that's just like, that's just strategy. Sometimes sometimes I need to put wash face so that I wash my face, you know?
Yeah.
yeah. It's just life is just about tricking yourself into doing things. It's
Oh my
that's
god,
just what it is.
that's so real. I hate it.
Emily and I were just on we were just on another podcast, and basically we got to play it was like a fighting thing where
You
we
were
got-
on Super Bracket
we
Bros.
were on
yes.
Super Bracket Bros, and we got to fight each other as different characters. But at one point, she was, trying to roll intimidation to convince herself to do something just because her intimidation score was high. And I was like, "You trying to intimidate your brain into following directions? Because that's just having ADHD. That's just what it is."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I was
Oh,
like,
real.
listening to it again, I was just like, oh yeah, that's real. Like, just intimidating your brain. It's like, can you fucking do this, please?
Ouch.
It's
Yeah.
like, you'll get a little treat after this. You'll feel better. Just do it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. So he goes to Sir Yu's tent, and this guy is like printing money. He's got, not only is he winning all his tilts, he's also got wagers going, and everybody sees him as like the underdog, so nobody bets on him. So he's winning all this money, and so much so that he has to go through all his money and be like, this is fake, this is fake, this
Yeah.
is fake, like all of that thing. And he hands Dunk this coin, and he's like, tell me what's wrong with this one. Turns out it's got the wrong king on it.
The typo.
So another indication of rebellion. Which is, yeah, it's interesting that they use like actual gold, but then like coins have a separate value other than gold.
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
In this economy.
Yeah, it's really weird in this economy,
Yeah.
honestly. Because like, okay, I was gonna use the word fungible, but I'm like, I don't need to get economics on this. Let's move on.
Fungible?
Yeah, fungible just means that like $1, and like a grain of salt is the same as any other grain of salt. If I give you $1, you can give me any dollar back, and we're still like even,
Yeah.
But in this, it doesn't, like, that's not the case. Like, one gold dragon is not the same as the other gold dragon.
Right.
The only reason I've ever heard that word is because of NFTs. And so I think I purposely blocked it out of my brain because I don't want to know anything about NFTs.
No. Well, yeah.
I refuse.
NFTs.
I don't know
food.
anything and I refuse to learn. But it's okay because I think
Honestly,
they're
you don't have to. They basically, yeah, you don't have to. But I'm a business bro now, so I know things.
Gross.
Congratulations / condolences.
You're the one who named me business bro.
That doesn't mean I like that you're a business bro. I named it that because I don't like
I
it.
also despise that I'm a business bro, but what can we do? It's the world we live in. We can either study something that is like we're passionate about and puts us in depression, or we can study business and like get a job.
Real. We can do what
Listen,
we want.
Listen, me and my 2 English degrees take offense to that, okay?
Real.
We don't want to hear any of that.
That's so funny.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I know what I got into. It used to be worse. It used to be music.
No, I didn't finish my
Useless.
first degree, so like you're not like I'm much worse off. You actually finished. I was just like, nope, too depressed, leaving.
Oh no, I finished because I was depressed. I got broken
Oh
up with, and
my.
so I was like, what do I do with my life? I guess I'm a college student again.
Oh my god.
I guess mine was a breakup with my degree.
Oh, that's
Oh my god.
Yeah. You don't get any stuff back if that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, back to what the hell we're doing right now.
Sir,
okay, so
Sir
they've got
Euthor,
coins.
yeah, doing his best. Running his hustle.
So he's like, okay, I know you don't have any money to pay me, and I can't really use your horse or your armor. So why don't you instead join me in this scam I'm running, where we'll fix our matches, and I'll earn a lot of money, and you can get 10% of it. That's basically it.
And Dunk is such a little nerd. He's like, no. No.
But this is like a really smart like business he's got going.
Yeah.
I admire this guy, honestly. He's like hacking the capitalism or like the feudalism.
I mean, yeah, I respect the hustle, but at the same time, he's such a dick about it. It's like, Dunk's like, no, like here's my stuff, and Sir Uther is, and this is where I tell you that you rode a gallant course, and I was like, you hit him in the face, you dick. Like,
But,
all right.
but
Yeah.
he does tell him somebody's after you, dude. you better watch out.
I mean,
because
he's real, but he's still a dick about it. And I was just like, okay, all right.
overall, I liked him.
Yeah.
I think, just because, like, his, like, honesty I appreciated, you know?
Yeah.
He's basically like, some guy paid me to strike you in the face so that it would be a killing blow.
Yeah.
Just turns out that you are, like, unkillable or something.
I think it sounded like he was like, I didn't try to kill you. No, it was like they would pay extra if he happened to die afterwards.
No, it was, like, straight up.
Oh, okay.
It, like, you kill him.
Yeah,
because he was gave, like,
he was like, I could have hit you in the
like,
stomach or
advance,
something.
and the rest would be after he died.
Got
it's
it.
like an advance on the payment.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
he basically was like, I could have just disarmed you, but I was told to
Yeah.
try and kill you, which is why I hit you in the face, so watch out. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is a crazy thing to say, but... Also, before that, like, when they're still talking, before he's like, before he makes his, like, offer, we find out more about, basically, Sir Glendon. And I felt really bad for his sister.
Oh,
Yep.
well,
I was like, what the heck?
okay. I think I don't have enough information to make, like, a moral judgment on this, because sex work is a, like, valid form of something. Like, it's a valid form of work, right?
Yeah.
So if she wants to do it, because, like, getting her brother knighted also changes her status in society, you know?
Yeah.
If it, like, I don't know.
Like,
here's
if
the
this was a business move on her end,
Yeah.
like, she was like, okay, I don't really care about my virginity, let's just do this
Yeah.
for the business, or whether it was like, she was like, I really want to do this for my brother, and I feel bad, and, like,
Yeah.
we're desperate.
Yeah, like, I don't know which of those it was.
And the fact that it's and here's the thing. Based on the amount of agency that this entire world gives women, it doesn't necessarily rule out that slightly less shitty option. But it doesn't make it impossible. And it's frustrating that it's brushed over. It's something that is just like sort of tossed out there, where it's just like, oh, this is a thing. This is a business transaction. I'm like, I
Yeah.
understand it could potentially be a business transaction. I understand that. However, it's just, you're never going to hear from that woman. Like, in this story, there is
sure.
no one in this, and like the person writing it or the people involved in this story, no one is ever going to go, I wonder what she has to say about this. Nobody cares. And that's the frustrating thing about a lot of these stories, where it's not that, we have no way of telling. It's like, you do have a way of knowing what these women thought. You literally have that power, and you're opting not to at every single turn. And I think that is why I get so frustrated about the treatment of women in this. It's like the idea that, and I have a lot of feelings. As like, especially, with the TV show, it's like, hey, why the fuck are we doing all of these horrible things? And it's like, well, it's historically accurate. And I'm like, bitch, there are dragons. This is there's no need to make, it's got to be gritty and realistic. I'm like, I don't want this to be realistic.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Everyone can be dirty and grungy. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
They're
I remember
yeah.
Real.
Yeah.
literally, like, the third episode of our podcast, I think, is like when Dany's forced into her wedding with Drogo.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, the conversation we had. I remember some of, like, the exact talk we had, because it was, like, such a thing. We were like, George, this is literally a fantasy series. Why is this your fantasy series?
You could do anything, bud.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. And then it's like, no, I have to be realistic. I'm like, that.
Where are we drawing the line?
Why?
The, like, historically correct, like, doesn't ever, like, hold up. I feel like you've lost the argument as soon as you bring that up, because it's not it's not valid.
Exactly. It's like, it's not fucking
Yeah.
real, dude. Yeah. So that is where a lot of the, and it's obviously, like, and especially, I'm sure it's portrayed just as much, I guarantee, in the books, but like, you know, the role of sex work and the power that sex workers have and stuff is absolutely valid, and it's absolutely something that people choose as a career, and it's not like not everyone was forced into this life and it's terrible. Like, it's absolutely it's, you know, it's realistic in that regard, but at the same time, it's a point of view that is repeatedly ignored and not explored, and no one's like, well, let's hear from this character, let's see what her, you know, take on this is, let's see, you know, let's see how they feel about this. And there are so many opportunities that are just neglected, basically. And I think that's where it just happens so often, and I'm like, I'm tired. I don't know, you know. So
as you should
that's
be.
my take on it. That's just, you know.
I agree with you.
I'm tired. I feel that of all of that. Oh, well, I'm tired, but of all that, yes.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you did film studies, right?
Yeah.
So you know about this, like, being like off center of like whatever piece of media we're consuming.
Yeah.
We're not the center audience. Like, we're looking at it from the side and we're like, hey, why don't I get this entire view?
Yeah.
Why isn't it from my point of view?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
just, it's exhausting being in that.
Being female or female identifying or femme is exhausting in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, it's already oppressive enough to, like, you know, do anything else. I'm like, I just want to read a fucking book, you know? Like, I just want to watch a TV show that has some good actors in it, and like the writing's generally like the acting is generally pretty good.
Yeah.
And like the cinematography is interesting. I'm like, I would love to watch this. This would be really cool. I don't want to have someone go, hey, there's an upsetting thing that happens. And it's like, oh, what if it didn't?
Yeah.
They're like, but it needs to. It's like, why? And they're like, because
it does not need
so.
to.
I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it's exhausting. I don't like it. So.
Yeah. It's, I remember when I was first learning about, like, you know, the male gaze, like, learning about it in, like, an academic way, and just, like, the audience that is centered in media and all of that things. Harmith, do you remember in high school when you used to be in musical theater? And I would go see your plays and musicals and everything because I'm a best friend.
Yes. The very few that I got to have before COVID happened.
3 seats in the in the middle row, like in the middle. There were like 3 seats in each of the rows that you could see the entire stage from, and then if you moved like even slightly to the sides, you couldn't see like half the stage.
Oh no.
So like immediately when I was learning about it, that was my visualization of that
so
scenario.
Funny.
Is that all these like straight white dudes are sitting in the middle watching your musical.
Yeah.
And all of us are sitting in the corner watching half of your musical.
Yeah.
That's so real. Oh my god.
I'm glad that it says obstructed view right in front of you. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm glad that our terrible theater floor plan could have some value to you in that way.
No, it was really helpful in visualizing those concepts when I was
glad it was
learning about
helpful
them.
for something. Wasn't helpful for anything else in life.
That's not great.
I have so much beef with that, y'all. It's crazy. Like, yeah.
I'm gonna go
everything.
see this play. See, are you sure?
They
Which part of
renovated
it?
everything after I left, and now I'm mad. Like, how dare you? Anyway, moving on.
Offensive.
Isn't that always
honestly.
the case? Yeah.
It's literally
That's
always
personal.
the case. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. The what is the end? The thing is, Dunk's like, I don't want to be in your service. I don't want to do the scam.
Yeah.
I would much rather just give you my stuff, even though I would have like no life without it. Like I can't earn a living. I can't do nothing. I don't even have a sword to sell my sword. But yeah. Okay, that's the end of that.
Oh, no.
Then-
He has a sentence at the end of it where he's like, yeah, you can figure out like all of the other shit that's happening. But he says, I'm whatever, but he says, whilst if you dance with dragons, you must expect to burn.
Yes.
And I was like, do you fucking know what's happening?
He knows that Dunk is involved with the Targaryens in general because he's heard about Dunk's like previous tourney.
Oh, okay.
He knows who Dunk is and how at that tourney he got Baelor Breakspear killed.
Got it. Okay. So if I had
Did I call him Baelor the Blessed earlier? I feel like I did, and that's a totally different Baelor. And let me tell you, Baelor the Blessed was horrible.
Oh my
Baelor
God.
Breakspear, cool.
Get your Targaryen straight. My God.
I'm so sorry.
I'm such a Baelor Breakspear fan. I love Baelor.
I love his plays.
Yes,
They're
okay.
so good. Breakspear. Sorry, I'm not funny. Stop it.
Okay, wait, no. 'Cause
No, that came out
what
of
it
nowhere,
led to-
so it made it funny.
No.
Because it was so
the
like
visual that occurred.
Sorry.
No. Okay, stop. Okay, Breakspear.
Okay, dictator.
Spears, like he's good at like tourneys.
Mm-hmm.
Shakespeare, does he shake his spears?
Yes.
Like
He's just
that's
like-
the visual that like immediately came to my head. Is like, okay, like Breakspear, whatever. Shakespeare, like Shakespeare dancing with his spears. Okay,
He does just like a cool like color guard situation and just spins it. They're just like, whoa, buddy.
he's got a baton routine.
Yeah,
with
he's
his
like, you don't want the smoke, man. Back off. And they're like, okay, sorry.
a whole new meaning to
Yeah.
Shakespeare. Okay.
Anyways.
He goes out the tent. He's like, okay, this stuff is yours. Where's Egg? Egg has disappeared. And he's going out looking for him. He's nowhere to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
He's nowhere to be seen. And
he starts talking to Glendon, and they're just like, hey, what if we just like both dipped? Like, what if you came with us?
yes.
he's like
and Glendon, this is when he reveals that somebody tried to buy him out.
Yeah.
Peak tried to buy him to lose to the Fiddler. So like they've been fixing all these matches. And what's like heartbreaking is that the guy doesn't know that they've been fixing these matches on his behalf, so he's like actually surprised at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for him because
Yeah.
he's like, I thought if I showed them all how good I was, they'd have no chance but to admit I was my
Yeah.
father's son. And
I
like and right
know.
before he says like, this old man I knew taught me how to make my own lances, which right away is like, you take, it's like one of those things like where like you can only afford like one lesson and then you like use YouTube to like excitedly teach yourself the rest of it. It's like that, but like he's like, oh yeah, this dude showed me how to do that, and then like what's unsaid is like he worked so hard for however long, and now it's just like it's still not enough. No matter what he does, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
enough for anyone, and it's just like so sad.
I
felt so
know.
bad
And
for
then
him.
Dunk talking to him and saying, hey, like, what if you came to Winterfell with us? And the line specifically is, they will know you only by your blade and judge you by your worth. And I was
Yes.
like, I like this. I'm like,
Yes.
y'all just go. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I was like,
I was gonna say,
yes,
'cause he's
Winterfell,
drawing
safe space. Let's go.
His worth from like his like probable father. He's not drawing his worth from himself. It's not it sucks, yeah. Make a name for yourself on your own. And okay, really sad though, I looked him up because I was like, does this guy end up doing anything? No, literally we never hear about him again.
That's so sad.
Man, if only there was a fourth fucking short story to
Yeah.
wrap up some bows over here.
They're supposed
But
to be
no.
12.
Story is Oh
Shut
yeah.
the fuck up. 12?
They're supposed to be 12.
That's too many.
I can't believe you remember.
Okay,
because
that's-
you listened recently. That's why you're
Yeah,
Okay,
I
that's-
listened
that's
to you
too
telling me all
many.
these fun facts. Yeah.
I do know the next one is supposed to be in Winterfell.
If he doesn't release that before he dies, I'm gonna go jump on his grave.
What?
and like torture him in the afterlife. Like he
You gotta
can't sleep
sit out there
peacefully.
with a Ouija board, just transcribing it. It's like, just tell it to me.
It's just
letter
like,
by letter.
fuck you, over and over.
I'm gonna be waking him up from his deep sleep, or like if we're in like heaven together or something, or like hell. No, we'll be in hell together. If we're in like hell together or something, I'll just like constantly be bothering him and like making his.
You're revealing things about your belief systems that I did not know.
I don't
before.
believe. No, I don't know if I believe in heaven or hell. I think I just use those as examples because we live in the Western world and
Yeah.
because of it, that's just how I talk. Like, I find myself saying, like, oh, dear Lord, but I mean that in a very Christian way, but I've never been raised Christian, nor do I have any Christian beliefs. But because that's, like, the center of media in the Western world, I've just absorbed it, and I become it, and it's, like, how I, say things. So that's why I said that, but I don't really believe it, like, at all. But that's just my that's just me basically saying that I'll be mad if George R. R. Martin doesn't release the one in Winterfell.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So it doesn't work out. Ball guy is like, I'm just gonna stay here and try to win this tourney. So, yeah.
He tried.
But they have a nice moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, Heddle. Tomard Heddle. Tomard? Excuse me. That's the name of Sir
That
H,
is a
the guy I couldn't
forgettable ass
remember.
name.
Right?
It's also a very ugly name. Like, that's so hard to say. It ain't rolling off no tongues. Like, come
It's
on.
clunky. Yeah.
Wait, Heddle. Masha Heddle. Okay, sorry.
Who's
Okay,
Masha?
ignore. Masha Heddle was the owner, the innkeep at the inn at the crossroads that we hear about a bunch of times.
Whoa.
So is this the Heddle? So does she, but then she's an innkeep. She's not like a lord or a lady. So does he get downgraded? Oh, well, he dies. Okay, he does get downgraded via death.
Maybe his family members aren't like... Maybe his family
So
runs
eventually
the
they end up running it in.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I just made that connection. Now I'll remember his name because I remember Masha Heddle's name because she was cool.
That's funny.
Got killed for no reason, but she was cool.
Yeah.
What? That's a wild
Okay,
thing to happen to a woman in this series. What are you talking
Right?
about? Crazy.
That would never.
Oh my God.
I think I'm thinking about a totally different series. It was not this one.
Yeah, nothing bad has ever happened to a woman in this series.
Every single person's mother just like randomly being dead. That's
What
part
is
of
this,
their
an
identity.
anime? Come on now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, we're not gonna get down the everybody's mother being dead wormhole because I have lots of thoughts and I don't have time for that today.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, he's looking around and he's kind of remembering the events of the previous night, and he's kind of starting to put things together.
It's
and
all
he
coming
goes,
back to
To
me.
me now.
There you
There
go.
were nights when the wind was so
Was
cold.
Yeah.
so cold.
I love the delay. I'm hearing you like 5 seconds after.
Oh yeah. Amazing. Have fun syncing that up, Nuff. It's gonna be perfect, flawless. I have faith in your abilities. It's gonna be amazing.
For sure, I will definitely be spending lots of time doing that.
Isolating those 2 seconds of us singing at the same time.
Real.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
So he eventually goes to the fiddler's tent, and he first is stopped by Lord Allen, now that I know his name.
Says you got a lot of nerve.
And, yeah, exactly, basically. And Dunk's like, I don't have time for you. I'm looking for something. I need to talk to the fiddler. And the fiddler is like, okay, come on, step in. Have some wine, have some olives.
Hey,
and then
Bessie.
Alan tries to follow them in. And he's like, no, not you, Alan.
Yeah.
You could do with a few,
Yeah.
few less olives. Which just like, what?
So bitchy.
Olives? Yeah. But clearly he does not like this guy at all. But this guy is like head over heels over him.
Yeah.
Over him? For him? Are you head over heels over someone or for someone?
4.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
I only know that because of a song. I don't remember what song it is, though. Oh, it's a fucking country song. That's so funny. Okay.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, my squire's missing. And John Guy is like, oh yeah, let me ask my men to look for him. And Dunk's like, your men? I guess you're not a hedge knight, are you? And this is when it all comes out. Like, you knew I was somebody special. And Dunk's like, yeah, I could tell because you're weird. Like, you act all lordly. And something. Oh, this is not where we learn his names. But he does notice his eyes finally.
Yeah.
That sparkle with mischief. And then he's like, oh, he has Egg's eyes. I like the fact that this is when he notices, because I like to think that Egg's eyes sparkle with mischief in the same way. Because
They probably
So is
do.
it do they talk about like eye color at all, or is it just like
yeah,
similarity?
it's like a deep blue.
Okay.
Yeah, and it somewhere previously it was described as like a blue that matched his doublet or
Okay.
something.
I thought at one point it said something about purple, and I was just like, no, stop it. Like, I hate that.
It was Plum who had all purple.
That's it. Okay.
yeah.
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 He's probably wearing I don't know. Doesn't matter.
No, it's
so he leaves. He's like, I gotta go fight this thing. And then Gormy comes in, and Gormy's like, why are you here and up in all our business again?
Uh-huh.
And Dunk's like, why don't you just go ahead and kill me? And Gormy's like, well, his grace would take it ill. And this is when he's like, his grace? Who is this guy?
And then he villain
And-
monologues. I bet
Yes,
you.
exactly.
I bet
This
you're
is the fill
wondering
in the
why
blanks.
we did this. Yeah.
Yeah, why this wedding? And then this is like, okay, well, he needed a wife. It was a good enough reason as any. And yeah, here we are. Before, all these people couldn't plot rebellion. This was an interesting point because they had family members who were hostages at King's Landing, but the Great Spring Sickness killed all of them. So now they have nothing to lose.
That's so sad.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
That's so sad.
That's incredibly fucked. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So they're like, we got nothing to lose, so let's go for it.
Yeah.
All right.
And also, Baelor's now dead, so he can't defend against that. Maekar is
Yeah.
depressed, so all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody hates Bloodraven, so now is the time to strike.
Yeah.
And Dunk's like, this whole time, he's like, oh my god, here I am delivering Maekar's favorite son into the hands of his enemies. First off, I was like, favorite son? Does he like go out and advertise that? Do you just say this is my favorite son? How does Dunk know this?
Maybe it's just like, the youngest child syndrome. of,
we
like,
know that
parents are like,
his-
wow, my youngest child. I can
We know his
fix
eldest
everything else I
brother was,
fucked
like,
up.
an alcoholic, so Maekar didn't like him because he thought he was useless. And then one of them was the cruel prince. I forget his name.
Aaron,
So we don't like that.
Aaron.
And then the third was Aemon, who we do like, but I guess he's a maester, so he's useless to Maekar, leaving only Egg.
Yeah, Egg's like his only hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the favorite son equation. So drunk son minus evil son minus maester son equals favorite son. That's the equation.
Interesting.
Fair.
If anybody ever wants to figure out which among your siblings is the favorite of somebody's
It's like
parents.
tag yourself.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Okay. Yeah, so, Dunk's like, well, there's Bloodraven. He's not weak. He can fight you. And Peak's like, yeah, but nobody likes him. So if we get this dragon, everybody will rush to us, and Bloodraven's, like, support will fade. And then the throne is ours. So this the whole plan. That's what it is. Okay. What else is happening? More fighting. Blah, blah, blah.
The guy has a green beard like that. Love the look.
Yeah.
Ooh, I did like the line where Alan is like sort of hovering next to him. And he's when it starts raining and everyone starts moving. He says, what will they do? What will they do when the real storm breaks, I wonder? And then it says, oh, the real storm. Dunk knew Lord Allen was not talking about the weather. And I was like, you couldn't just let that metaphor breathe on its own. Like, you couldn't
it's
just
a little over-explained.
Yeah. Dunk was assuming that this metaphor was actually referring to the thing that was going to happen. I'm like, all right, dude, we get it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is when it's Sir Yu's turn for the next match, but it's not the match he paid for. It's Sir H, Sir Heddle.
Oh, no.
Who he's going up against.
Gasp.
And Dunk realizes that they put him against this guy because they want him to, like, be taken out of the game because they don't realize his long game is to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, let's get rid of him now.
Yeah.
And, it's like an easy loss for Sir Yu, and that's that. And that's when, like, Dunk is like, okay, so they've taken out Sir Yu, Sir Heddle is on their side, and they want the Fiddler to win, so that only leaves. And as he's thinking that, Sir Peak comes out and he's like, oh my god, the egg has been stolen, and it was Fireball's son who did it.
Yes.
Yeah, so that further leads it, like, us, the readers, first-time readers, to believe that this is only a setup. We don't realize the egg has been stolen for real this time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, it's a great way to get rid of the competition so that he can win and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Dunk's like, oh my god, can't do anything about it, but they immediately, like, you know, surround this guy and arrest him and all of that. And that's when Alan comes around and is like, hey, I know where to find your squire. Come with me. And he leads him, like, away. It's, like, real weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip this. It's one of those colored ones. I'm just gonna skip it.
Yep. I think it's the note where I wrote why.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah, okay.
where? Which one? Okay.
No, we're not gonna talk about it because it's too much.
No, but I literally
It's
don't know what
late.
you're referring to.
I'll tell you later.
We're gonna forget.
Okay, I guess we're talking about.
Did I?
Rewind.
Because I barely have any notes here.
Okay, so Dunk is like, if you have done Egg any harm, and Alan Guy goes, boys are not to my taste.
Yeah, that's it. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
Where is this?
Oh, like,
It's just there.
literally as Alan is, like, leading him through, it's just like, you know, literally just that 2 lines. It's where it's just like, what's happening? It's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's it.
okay, Harmit, you
Oh,
can think
I
about
see
this
it now.
later.
I see it. Okay, no. I just, like, was confused because I was like, where is this? I saw it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Eventually, Alan leads Dunk to this well, and he's like, he pulls a knife on him and is like, back up to the well and go jump in it.
All according to
and
plan.
Dunk's like, exactly. Because I wanted to kill you. I paid that guy to kill you. Like, once again, fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you to get John. He's mine, and all of that stuff. And, Dunk's like, okay, I can't swim. And he's, like, prying away this, like, rock next to the, like, part of the well.
Mm-hmm.
He eventually wressles Alan into the well. So that's all that we need to know.
No, but this is where we also get the name. This is where it's like, I never did you any harm and never will. Damon's mine. I will command his Kingsguard. Which is
Yes.
also the big,
Okay.
thirsty, yes, my lord, henchman vibes. But then you get the name that is connecting. It's like, oh, okay. John wasn't his real name. It's like, no, duh, dude. Yeah, all right. And then he, like,
Damon.
yeah, and then it's like, yes, the villain monologue, and then he bashes him with a rock and throws him in the thing.
Yeah, I did like this line. Dunk fed it to his lordship when he, like, gets the rock.
Yeah.
Like, he, like, shoves it in his face
Yeah.
and actually breaks his teeth, which interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Guy goes in the well, and this is when you hear from the shadows, "Well done, sir." Dunk whirled. Through the rain, all he could make out was a hooded shape and a single pale white eye.
All according to plan.
Yeah, Bloodraven only has one eye, FYI.
Ah.
It was only when the man came forward that the shadowed face beneath the cowl took on the familiar features of Sir Maynard Plum. The pale eye no more than the moonstone brooch that pinned his cloak at the shoulder. So there's this, like, you know, one-eyed figure.
This little fake
then,
out.
like,
yeah.
like takes on the features and all of that. Like, further evidence that there's some kind of magic glamour going on, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're just talking about, like, okay, cool, there's treason happening. We should leave him in
We
the
gotta
well
go.
because, yeah, why save him now to execute him later? And also, Dunk has, like, been stabbed in his arm in this entire fight thing. That also happened.
I like how he's surprised. Like, that would explain all the blood. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Um,
It's like, we should
And-
leave.
yeah. Another line. This close, there was something queer about the cast of Sir Maynard's features. The longer Dunk looked, the less he seemed to see.
Ah, magic.
Yeah.
There you go.
And this is when he's like, where's Egg? And, you know, Plum's like, with the gods? Which is like a very... That's like saying he's dead.
I know.
Why don't you just say he's in the sept, dude?
Yeah.
Like, I get it, you're Bloodraven, you're, like, all mysterious and whatnot, but, like...
With the show, we talk a lot about people not knowing how to talk to the opposite sex, and I think in this case, it's just someone who doesn't know how to talk to humans.
You know
It's
what?
just like,
Yeah.
he's with the gods. Oh my god, I can't believe you. Oh, no, he's like over there. You're fine. Why were you so stressed out? What do you mean? What did I say that was alarming?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So Plum's like, well, I bet by this time, Lord Butterwell is already questioning his actions and whether Bloodraven knows about what's going on here, how much he knows.
Spoilers.
And the
Bloodraven
answer
knows
to
everything.
that last is quite a lot.
Oh my god.
Who are you?
Yeah.
A friend, said Plum.
Oh my god.
I hate that he
Yeah.
actually says that. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where I was like, from his King's Landing days? Because I wanted everybody to be his King's Landing friend.
You know what? There's theories about who those three kids grow up to be, but I don't remember the exact theories. B, I think there's spoilers there, so I'm not gonna say.
I see.
Interesting.
But people, yeah, like there have his friends in King's Landing have been
Oh.
theorized about.
Well-
Everything has been theorized about because there has been no content for 12 years.
Yeah,
That's what happens.
The fandom eats itself alive when there's no new enrichment. We make our own.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, so Maynard Plum leads Dunk back to his tent and he like fixes him up while telling this whole thing about like how Butterwell is not very indecisive and I bet he's having doubts and he's gonna, you know, he might be on the verge of breaking at this plot or whatever.
Yeah.
And Dunk's like, screw all that, tell me where Egg is. And finally he tells him he's in the sept. And Dunk goes and gets his armor. I love how he like goes into Sir Yu's tent and his squire is there. And he's like, I need that. And he's like, that's not a reason enough. Well, why don't you try and stop me and I'll kill you. And then he's just like, they're over there. Like, I just love it. Was like a very quick.
Oh, you mean
Swift
this armor?
exchange.
Here you go. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So he, you know, dons his armor, arms himself, all that stuff, and goes to the sept where Lord Butterwell is kneeling in front of the crone, praying for wisdom.
Oh my god.
Because he fucked up. And he knows he fucked up.
Yep. And Dunk at first is like, oh my god, Egg, you're safe. But also, we're in danger. These people are evil. And Egg seems to have the situation under control. Because he's told this guy, first off, I am Aegon. And also, my dad's on the way with an army, so you better fess up.
Just wait till my dad gets home.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And Butterwell is basically in the sept and hasn't decided what he's going to do because he's indecisive AF. Like, I get it. I'm also very indecisive. I am. It's one of my worst qualities. I hate it about myself. I've started making all my decisions way in advance because in the moment, I just can't decide anything.
Yeah.
Ever. And it's just so exhausting. Okay, sorry. What are we talking about here? Okay. Yeah, okay. So Butterwell turns on all his people. He's like, oh, it was Peak who did this. He told me who to invite and who to exclude. And also, my son-in-law, Heddle, he's part of it. I'm not a part of it. He's part of it. And he is mean and all of these things. He's just like blaming everybody but himself.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and this is when he's like, the egg was stolen and I don't have anything left and I don't know what to do and I'm so sad and just like all this
spiraling.
bullshit.
So funny.
Exactly. And this is when Dunk is like, can I have a moment with my squire, please?
Can you
and they like
hold-
go off to the corner
Yeah.
and do a little catch up of like what's been going on.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And eventually Lord Heddle breaks in, Sir Tom Heddle. And okay, now he's called Black Tom.
Tom
Why is he
Hiddleston?
called Black Tom?
Yeah, I love it. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, Tom comes in and he is like, okay, get that guy. I know who he is because everybody knows who Egg is now.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten. Yeah, okay, so the guards don't know who to follow because technically they're sworn to Lord Butterwell, but really this Tom guy is the one who
Does everything.
leads them. So they're like frozen in place. So Dunk's like, I'll fight you. And the guy's like, I'll fight you. I've seen you try to joust.
Oh.
And Dunk's like, I'm better with a sword. So they fight. Tom guy dies. And Dunk's like, I told you I was better with a sword.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
It's like the Captain America, I can do this all day
Yeah,
moment.
I flagged that. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So basically, this is when, Butterwell's like, okay, I guess I'm in charge because that evil guy's gone and I'm like less evil. So I'll let you out the back door if you just like don't make a big deal about all this and we forget that this ever happened.
Can we all just be super chill for a sec? Can we be like real?
Yes.
We good?
Yeah, and Dunk's basically just like, hey, Egg, you're gonna go with Butterwell. You're gonna go
Yeah.
for Maidenpool. It's closer.
Just
Just be
GTFO.
safe. Yeah, like I just need you
Yeah.
out of here. You're not safe here.
Because
Yeah.
well, we find out Dunk is planning to do something quite reckless and it could turn bad.
Yep.
So he's got to get Egg out to safety, but also
Yeah.
sending him out on his own, like this
That
12-year-old
seems
kid.
worse.
Yeah. I guess it's like the honorable Ned Stark thing to do.
Yeah.
It's also the George R. R. Martin
I
just
gotta confront this, but
yeah, it's also the George R. R. Martin sending every child out on their own on an entire journey for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll
Good
be
thing
fine.
He runs into
Are
his
you
uncle's
sure?
army.
yeah.
Yeah. So he goes and
He collects the other hedge knights, basically. And he's like, hey, I need backup.
hang on. He's talking to Sir Yu for a second. Why is he doing that? Oh yeah, he goes back to the hall and that's where he runs into him and he's like, hey, how did you get your stuff back? And he's like, well, worry about this later. I have shit to do.
Yeah.
It's this is not the time.
Yeah.
And this is when he's like, okay, what happened to Glendon Bell was Ball was not good. And Sir Kyle's like, yeah, that I agree with you. He's a good kid. And this is when Dunk gets up and calls out to Damon, Your Grace, Damon. Like, he just says it. Nobody has said it so far. He just goes ahead and says it.
Also, I loved, like, as he was about to do this declaration, he was like, Dunk turned to face the dais. He'd escaped death twice today. That would suffice for more men. And then he's like, no, let me just challenge my fate one more time.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Third time's the charm. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's basically like, these people wrongly accused that guy because they were fixing your matches for him. And Damon's like, no, that's not true. Like, he actually believes it. But yeah. And I bet that any dragon's egg that they found in his stuff is fake because he did not steal it. So why don't you go ahead and bring me that egg and we can take a look at it? And Damon's like, what? Okay. I guess. All right, bring him up. I want to look at, first off, I want to look at this egg, but also bring this guy up, clean him up, and I'm going to face him in the lists. And the gods will be the deciders of this. What's the word? What's happening here?
Argument? Disagreement?
Like the trial?
Argument,
Or...
trial, yeah.
I don't know.
All of those things. Yeah. There's that. I don't know. It's just another trial by combat. That's like a real,
every single thing.
This is
that's
why
all they do.
Yeah, no.
But that's like,
well, the alternate the alternate is Pete going, oh, but we almost tortured a confession out of him. Give me a second.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. We were so close.
They get this poor guy out of the dungeons, and he's had his like nails ripped off.
The
and
description of everything, I literally was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I just skip over that part. So anyway,
You
he's been
didn't tell me I
tortured.
could skip parts of this.
Oh yeah,
This is
I'm
false
sorry.
advertising. I read every word like
I
a
did have to
sucker.
read it the entire way through the first time I read it. So
Oh my god.
this is probably like my third or fourth
Yeah, but
time. So now
I'm the guest. You're supposed to give me the easy part. I'm kidding. I'm so sorry.
there's so many things I should have done, but you know what?
It's
We can't
okay.
live in the past,
You know,
so move
Yeah.
on.
Coulda,
Coulda,
shoulda,
shoulda.
woulda.
Here we
Yeah.
are.
Oh my god. Said it at the same time.
What are you, the same person or something?
We said it in a different order, but we both said the same thing. In the end.
I think
Okay.
what is happening, I will interject. What is happening now is the freeloading co-hosts are banding together and synchronizing because that is what happens. Whoever actually does homework and edits the podcast is the one who's like, guys, we need to focus. And the rest of us are like,
Harmith
hey,
is
you
no
know
longer
what?
freeloading, though. I do have to give her credit. Like, for the I was only the first year that I only edited the episodes. We now take turns editing episodes.
good for
so
you.
Harmith pulls her weight.
Oh, I do fuck all. I show up.
That's the dream. Harmith, do you want to take over?
I'm dead.
We always say that on it, like, we always hit it off, like all the freeloading co-hosts who don't do anything else. And we always say if we just had a separate podcast, it would be really great, but none of us can
Nothing
edit
would
it
ever
because
happen.
Watch
no,
Emily
no
propose
one would ever
like
hear
a watch Emily propose like a partnership for the Dragon House podcast.
She's told me that next year I should just learn to edit so I can do it by the by our Christmas special. She's like, you'll be
but that one's like 5 people. How are you?
it's 8 people. It's too many.
Oh my god.
She would,
I would
but
cry.
I didn't even realize there were 8.
no, but also it's anarchy, so it doesn't really matter. She's like, everyone talks over each other anyways. It's honestly easy mode. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I feel better or worse, but okay.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
It's chaos. It's so fun. I'm so sorry. We're so close to the end of the story. We're almost
we got
done.
this. I have had to pee for the last hour and a half, but I got this.
I'm normally in bed an hour and a half ago, so I feel
I'm
that.
so sorry,
It's-
Kate. Thank you so much for being with
I'm gonna be
us.
useless tomorrow. It's fine. It's Friday. Fuck it. It's whatever.
Okay. Really quick. Okay, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
What are we doing? Okay,
They
so
drag him out of
bring
the
up-
dungeon. He's real fucked up.
He is, but he's like, I'm gonna fight this.
I'm ready to go.
And he's like, my dad fought for his dad, And if he just asked me, I would have fought for him, killed for him, and died for him. But I could not lose for him.
Oh my gosh.
I want more for him.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Brent, or not Brendan, oh my god, what's this? Oh, Glendon. When Glendon's there, like, he's like, oh, but don't, like, whatever. They're talking. And he's like, Black Tony was gonna cut my fingers off. Do we know who that is?
Black Tom.
Wait.
That's Tom Heddle. I think I don't know why they call him Black
No,
Tom.
mine says Tony. Like T-O-N-I.
Yeah, so
It actually says Tony.
no, here's the thing. So that is a weird thing that happened to me as well. There are a couple things where it like basically copying over for me from the PDF to the Word doc.
I gave both of you the same version.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So-
So basically it just like
So there's just a typo in the text.
no, it just like it mistranslates the M and makes it like an N and something else. Or like there's
So did somebody like... Oh, that's weird. Okay.
yeah, it's however it translates the text for whatever reason, but they're like I think there's like a D somewhere where it makes it a C and an L instead, just because the shapes are the same. I know. I was like, what's
That is
happening here? And then I was
weird.
like, so yeah.
Okay.
The typos are that. Fun fact.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
But you're not crazy. Mine looks the same.
Okay. Because I fully was like, whomst? Like, I'm so lost.
Tony. Tony's gonna cut off his fingers.
So they get them up on their horses, and Damon's now in all his like Blackfire attire. He is the fiddler no more.
He's not fucking around anymore.
Yeah, and he's like washed away the hair dye, so his hair's not black. It's like the, Targaryen white, gold, whatever. And they're like, getting ready to go. And first he's going to use Glendon is going to use the tourney lance, which has like a blunt point, but no. He's going to use a war lance because Damon is using a war lance, which has a point, so you could actually kill somebody with it. Mm-hmm. But Dunk remembers from the first story that Baylor Breakspear had recommended they use tourney lances because they're longer, so they have a longer reach, even though they're blunt. So he's like, no, use this one instead. So it was like a callback. So he gives him the longer tourney lance, and they go at it, and Glendon unhorses Damon, and it's great.
Slay.
And immediately, everybody turns on Damon. They're like calling him the brown dragon, and like,
Yeah.
because he's all muddy from falling in the mud, and just everybody's like, who cares about the Blackfires anymore? We're going home. It's raining out here. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Just all of
Yeah.
the confrontation just over so fast where they're just
Yeah.
like, man, fuck this. I'm
This
like,
was
yo.
like the
an
quickest-
army appears.
Yeah, this was like the quickest battle in the world. Like, it was
Yeah.
giving nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the army appears, and it's Blood Raven, and the line is, the first Blackfire Rebellion had perished on the red grass field in blood and glory. The second Blackfire Rebellion ended with a whimper.
Real.
I love that. I love that.
But Damon is still like, we'll figure it out. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Like, he's still
Come on,
fully
gang.
intent on.
No.
Yeah, he like rides out on his own. Nobody follows him, and he's like, I challenge Blood Raven to single combat.
Yeah.
And the guys, like, Blood Raven's people just like capture him. They're like, we don't have to do this.
Yeah, and he pulls out
Okay.
the sword too, like in complete Delulu mode. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because he pulls out his sword, and everybody's like, that's not Blackfire. So a further reason to not back this guy.
Yeah. So I will say, okay, so there's the entire crew that is coming in with, the
Blood Raven?
yeah, with Blood Raven. Okay. Mad Danelle Lothston herself rode forth in strength from her haunted towers at Harrenhal, clad in black armor that fit her like an iron
Yeah.
glove, her long red hair streaming. Who is she? Tell me everything about her. Because
I know nothing about her.
No, that's the wrong answer. Tell me everything because I love her. We stan. This is
This is the only time I've heard of her.
I've never heard of her.
Are
I-
you kidding me?
Yeah, they definitely described her as though we knew her, and I was like, whom?
Oh my god. Yeah, no, it was like this is like background. This is like an extra in a crowd scene where I'm just like, hello, hi. What's
The only thing
what's
I
your
know
deal?
is that
Tell
she
me.
probably doesn't live for very long because she's the Lady of Harrenhal, and Harrenhal is cursed.
Oh yeah, from our haunted towers at Harrenhal. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Okay, hang on. You know what, Kate? As a personal project, I am going to look into this and
my God.
text you afterwards. Is that okay?
Yes, please tell me everything.
Just so
about
that I
her.
could find the most detail.
Tell me about the love of my life, Mad
Okay,
Janelle
sounds
Lofton.
good.
Yeah. I pledge my sword to her. Please tell me everything about my queen.
All right, I'll bring it to next week's episode.
Yay! What a treat! I love it.
That's so funny.
I really hope there's something about her.
Oh God, I
That's
hope
so
so.
funny.
What if you're like,
I'm,
well,
like,
she died at this, and then that's it? I will cry. I'll be so sad.
You know what? I will make something up just so
Yeah,
that I don't.
She
have to
was
do
actually
anything.
no. She was so powerful that to dethrone her, they actually had to create the Curse of Harrenhal. Like she was the reason for the founding because she
my
was so
God.
good, and that was the only way. Bloodraven actually using his sorcery did it, and that was the only way that he could take her down after she turned on him. Because she was like, "I'm so much better than him. Like, why do I need to be under your like? Why are you my liege?"
I think we know. I
Amazing.
think we know this story. I don't think we need to take it any further.
I
Yeah.
love this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is all I wanted.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm so Delulu,
Okay,
I
so-
can easily make things up. It's a curse and a power.
Oh no, it is a true blessing, and you are so gifted. Congratulations.
I'm a seer.
You should put that to good use.
I am a seer.
Yes,
Real.
All right.
we're so close
Okay.
to this
What
cop
are
out
we talking
ending.
about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Oh, yeah,
everybody,
everyone's here.
like,
The rebellion
they get
is
into
over.
the castle.
Yeah.
They can't find Maynard. Plum.
Yeah. He's
is missing.
melted away. Huh.
Oh man, that's crazy! What happened?
I wonder if he left like right after Egg and then just like followed Egg and was like, "Hey, it's me, Bloodraven." Not that like not revealed himself as being Plum, but like turn into Bloodraven.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, it's me, Bloodraven. Let's go catch up with my army."
Yeah. That would be
That would
pretty
make
cool.
sense.
I don't know. We don't get that detail.
No,
Uh,
guess we'll never know.
yeah, they have killed Gorman Peak and Tom Heddle, and their heads are, up on the castle wall. And Dunk at first is like, "Huh, that's the guy that slew my mentor's nephew."
Yeah.
But then he's like, "I'm gonna close his eyes so the crows don't pick at them because
Yeah.
I owe him my position. Because if he hadn't killed the nephew, I wouldn't have gotten squired and all of that stuff."
This is
Yeah.
such a weird change of heart.
It's a real weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
So they take him to the Hand, Bloodraven, and yeah, they're basically Bloodraven is like dealing out justice, and Butterwell gets to keep 1/10 of his lands because 1/10 is what Bloodraven believes of his words.
That's so funny.
And White Walls is going to be torn down, and
And that's why
Earth
we never
salted.
hear about it again.
Yes.
Oh my god.
White
Apparently
Castle
people have
has
been
fallen.
Apparently, people have been making pilgrimages to the red grass field to plant flowers in like the Blackfire's honor.
Oh my
So he's like,
God.
"I'm gonna sow this with salt so nobody can plant anything."
Yeah.
here." And I'm like, "You're just wasting good land.
Yeah. No, fuck this place
Like,
in
put
particular.
some farmland over there."
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
This man is Delulu. Like, right from the not Delulu, but, like, ridiculous. Like, right from the beginning, when, like, oh, someone said a single word against me. Dead. To,
Yeah.
like, wow, nothing can grow on this land. Dead. Like, come on. You gotta give way somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. That's why people don't like him.
Yeah.
Also,
Also, there was kind of this cute moment, and I might have interpreted it wrong, but let me know.
Okay.
So as he's when Roland Crakehall comes to get him, and he's kind of going with him, he's like, oh, like like looking at the looking at the cloak makes him think of like when he was with the fiddler on the Fiddler on the Roof. Sorry, that's a musical reference. When he was with,
I think we all know
exactly
Fiddler on the
right.
Roof.
100%. That was it.
when he was with the Fiddler on the Roof, freaking
To
like
coin a phrase. Yes.
yeah, no. When he was thinking about like he's thinking back to like the conversation of like, oh, this was like my whole dream. Like you were in all white, whatever. And I don't know. I just kind of was like, maybe he's being Delulu in this moment, and he's like, oh, maybe the hand's looking for me because I'm gonna be promoted to some position, and then he's like, bruh, like this boy dreamt of so many other things doesn't mean this is actually gonna happen. But I was like, oh, Dunk, it is gonna happen. So it was just like a nice little like, he was like Delulu, and then he was like, yeah, never mind, not gonna happen. And I was like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it was so nice.
All right.
Oh my God.
So he's brought in to Bloodraven. And Bloodraven's like, well, obviously, Maekar must have a good reason to let his son squire for you. But I assume you were here on his behalf, sniffing out this rebellion? And Dunk's like, no, Egg just made that up. And no, we didn't, like, plan to be here to spy on them. We just kind of stumbled upon it. Sorry.
So
Nah, man, we're
funny.
dumb as hell.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah.
And Egg's like, well, we had things in hand before you showed up, so screw you, dude. Like,
Bless.
Egg is like my favorite in the scene. He just really steps
He's
up.
so spicy.
Yeah, and he's like, also, Sir Kyle, Sir Maynard Plum, and Sir Glendon Ball, I want them freed because they're cool.
Yeah.
like-
this was the character
and
development
Bloodraven's
we
like-
needed.
Yeah, Bloodraven's like, oh, that, like, ball guy, he's not real. And Egg's like, well, he is, and I want him found and released and rewarded. I just love him. Like, he's being kind of like a petulant, entitled 12-year-old,
As he should.
but like for the right reasons.
As he should.
So it's
Yeah.
good to see.
This was so good, considering the entire time he was like, well, they fought on that side. Well, they fought on that side.
I was gonna say, this seems like such growth from like the previous stories, which is exciting.
Yes. So slay.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And this is when Bloodraven's like, well, you're the real dragon that was hatched at White Walls.
This made me so mad. I was like, get out and stay out of my face. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
I
Well,
highlighted that.
Bloodraven.
I was like, all right, that's kind of fun. I like that.
how...
What?
I
All
feel like
right.
it could have been so much more fun, though. I was just like, so, like,
Yes.
this made me so sad. I love dragons, and I wanted dragons or something.
You wanted a real one? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but then
legit,
if
that
that had
makes
happened,
sense.
then we would have heard about it like in the future at some point. Yeah.
We
So you
could-
should have expected
We
there
could have
would
just
be no
pretended this
dragons.
was 50 more years. It's like, oh, we haven't seen them
Exactly.
since.
Yeah.
There was only
All
one,
right.
and we don't know what happened to it. I don't know.
Or we
Hand
could have
wavy
been,
storytelling.
we literally could have done it, and then right at the end had the sorcerer change everyone's memory of who was there and who saw the dragon, and like something. happened to the
Okay,
dragon.
okay.
Yeah.
Like easily.
This is not that kind of book.
Could be. It could be.
Oh, we have to be realistic, right? Okay.
It's not historically
Okay.
accurate.
We have to make sure it's historically accurate. What actually happened 50
Okay.
years ago? Sorry.
So Bloodraven is like, well, I should just take you back to King's Landing and keep you at court as my
Yes.
guest. And yeah, Aegon's like, yeah, well, my dad won't like that. And also,
Give us money.
we want to leave. I'm his squire. I'm going to go with him. And he's like, okay, fine. You can go. You're free to go. Bye. And Egg's like, well, we will go. But first, we need some gold.
Can we borrow some money?
Yeah. And Bloodraven's like, okay, fine. You take whatever you need. And Dunk's like, I will pay you back, I promise. And I'm like, who cares, Dunk? Just, they're rich. Take their
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Take the money from the rich. Yeah, and Dunk's like, yeah, I'll pay you back. And Bloodraven's like, yeah, when you learn to joust, no doubt. Okay, we get it. He can't joust, but he's still a good person and it's fine, okay? And he starts, like, checking off his to-do list, which is people he has to kill for the day. That's Bloodraven.
That's so funny.
Which is, yeah. What's at the top of his to-do list? I wonder.
I don't even know.
It's probably
I don't
it's
know.
probably make to-do list, honestly. I have faith in him.
I've got to say.
Listen, he's a smart man.
You don't become that successful without the life hacks.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
that little dopamine hit that goes, you know what? I did a thing. Look at me go.
Real.
Yeah.
So, to wrap up the story, a few more fill in the blanks, which is, so they're like, what's going to happen to Damon? Are you going to kill him? And Bloodraven's like, no, why would I kill him and leave his other siblings to be raised up as, potential contenders.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep him and
not make
quell
him a
all of
martyr
that.
either. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they go, but
Yeah,
what
and-
happened to the egg?
Yeah. And I like Bloodraven's like, I'm beginning to understand why your father was so willing to be rid of you just
so
because you
funny.
ask questions.
That's
But the thing, though, is nobody probably questions Bloodraven. So I love that Egg is just pestering him.
Yeah.
I wanted him to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, if I were to guess, I'd say that somebody probably climbed inside the privy shaft. And Egg's like, well, that's too small, except for a child. And Dunk's like, or a dwarf. And that's the conclusion of that.
Whoa.
Canned laughter. Oh, you.
whoa.
Now,
Whoa.
okay, let me read you this. So I have the version of the book that's like all three stories in one,
Okay.
called like A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. At the very end of it, it says, "The end of the beginning.
Oh, shut up.
More travels and travails await our hedge knight and his squire in the years to come. From Dorne to the Wall, their journeys will carry them across the length and breadth of the Seven Kingdoms, and even beyond the Narrow Sea to the disputed lands and the shining cities of Essos. Along the way, they will cross paths with lords and knights and sorcerers, and many a fair maiden and noble lady, to write their names into the annals of Westeros, never to be forgotten. But those are tales for another time. Keep reading. George R.R. Martin. 2015.
Shut up, George.
You're joking.
How dare
You're
he?
joking.
How
That's-
dare he?
Oh my god.
You're joking.
The little button of the end question mark? No.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, you got books to write.
I was so mad
You
when
have
I read
novels
this. I was like,
to
how
write.
could you?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's like he's like this.
I would just wish. Okay, here's what I want. What I really want is for him to like finish all of it and publish it and for us to have it, right? The second best alternative, I just want him to tell us he's not doing it. Stop with the I'm working on it shit. Stop with it.
Yeah.
Just say you're done, you're retired, you're 90. We get it. It's fine. You can retire.
Yeah.
Just tell us.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's
And stop with all these sequel shows and prequels and everything.
My alternative is not him stopping. My alternative is him releasing all the drafts as is, just so it doesn't go to his estate. Just so it's all out there, and then it's like, let's say he's like, he wants to finish the last book before he releases the sixth one, and that's why he's been holding out. Like, he wants to have a good draft to make sure that he has enough foreshadowing, enough shit going on, right? Whatever. Maybe that's his idea, right? I want him to just release it so that, let's say he's like halfway through the last book right now. Then it's like, okay, this part's canon, and we just rewrite the end of the eighth book, or like whatever.
But
it
who
is.
knows if there's anything at all? You're assuming a lot. You're assuming he has written a single word in the last 12
Okay, but
years.
it's been 12 years. He must have, right? Like,
Here's the
He's
thing.
done
I don't know.
interviews about his previous books, right? Like, was he like, oh, I've had the entire story figured out? Or, oh, wait, no, you said he was a gardener. He's a gardener, right?
gardener.
I forgot about the gardening whole thing.
Oh my god.
Do you know about this, Kate?
No. What is his deal?
No, George's style of writing is that he's not an architect in that he doesn't plan everything out at the beginning. He gardens.
Mm-hmm.
He goes with the flow.
Bruh.
Okay, so
Down,
as someone who does write and who comes up with a lot of concepts and doesn't always like, if there's something that I've started that I haven't fully followed through on, I try not to put it out into the world until it is finished. And granted, this is like, you know, not several book series, but at the same time, like if I'm going into something like that, I usually know like the beginning, middle, and end. Like I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially for something this long, like I don't think there's a world in which he doesn't know what's gonna happen. But I feel like there are a lot of like, okay, we need to get to point B. There's a lot of meandering that needs to happen before we get to point B. And I think the meandering is probably what it's like, but how?
Yeah. No, I understand that my suggestion is completely unrealistic, but it's what I would like better. Because I totally get the whole, like, obviously you don't want to put out something that you haven't, like, crafted. And, like, that would probably suck for his, like, him being like, oh, but this isn't my best work. But I selfishly just want him to do it so that it's, like, a conclusion, right? Like, just of, like, there's something. And we're done. And he's done with it. So if he dies, it's okay. Like, we got the stuff.
I dearly love a story that ends. I love standalone movies. I love TV series that have like, it's like, you know, wrapping up after 3 seasons, wrapping up after 4. And then it's like, here we are. And this is good. I hate things that are like, what if I wrote another one? And I'm like, don't do that. Just let it breathe. Yeah. Just like leave it alone.
Yeah.
And it's, even though
we don't need an MC, like a cinematic universe for everything.
Yes, and even though there is, you know, the conclusion that the show came to, and I'm sure that there is a conclusion that he's coming to, it's been building for so long. It's like what could possibly be happening in this story that couldn't have just happened?
Real.
You know? Yeah,
Real.
like it's just like when you get to the end of a book, does it feel like an ending? Does it feel final? Like I have finished this and I could stop here and I'm good? Or is it like, okay, time for the next one? Like how do his books feel as far as that?
I would say the first one was most of like the story could end here and we could imagine what happens next. The second book was definitely just like lead up to book 3. Would you say the third book felt like this is a conclusion or I don't know. I think it's in between 1 and 2 somewhere.
And I'm sure it's colored a lot by knowing that there is a next one. Like, you know, there's one thing to like.
I think like, I don't know. I just, for this series, I just don't see that at all. Like for this series, because there's so much. And also they're so long. Like there's so much. Like it just feels like if it were to end, it wouldn't be like a choice. It would just be like the show got canceled vibes.
It would also just be a lot of loose ends because like questions raised in book 1 were answered at the end of book 3.
Yeah. So that's why it's like, honestly, I would argue book 3 has felt the most conclusive. Rather than over book 1 and book 2.
Okay.
But that's maybe also just like recency and like looking back at it, and I don't know what I still don't know. So maybe at the end of book 4 I'll feel like, oh wait, book 3 wasn't complete because there's so much
That's
more.
a good point. Yeah, like you don't know which loose end, you don't know which ends are still loose, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know which ends
like,
we're just gonna have to always assume. Like,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that is a good point. I think it does have to do with, you know, not knowing what you don't know, but also like it is definitely colored by the, you know, it's like watching a movie before you knew they were doing a second one or something.
Yeah.
Like with this, you know it's a series. You know there's going to be more books. You know there's going to be more episodes. So it's like there's no part of you where it's like, I need this to wrap up neatly. It's just like, all right, what's the next part? And there's no there's no sense of finality, you know? And I feel like that amount of this will go on forever is not sustainable. And like, I haven't read many long series like this. Like, I know my brother-in-law has read like the Wheel of Time series. Like, he reads like a lot of like the longer like fantasy stuff. I think he read like the Dark Tower series and stuff like that. So I don't know how this compares to another series like that, where it's like, you know, this is a fantasy series. Like, I don't know if every book feels like a complete ending, or if it's like, well, on to the next adventure. Like, I don't know if that's just like what it always feels like, you know?
Yeah.
I think this overarching, like, you know, multi-book thing is pretty typical of this genre.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my experience at least.
Yeah, I think it's hard to... I think also just with, like... I mean, like just with, like... I don't know. I think it's hard to make things feel standalone, because that's a really tough thing to do. I think... I don't know, this is just totally my opinion, but it's like, I think it's harder to create a standalone thing that feels standalone and is well done. I think that it's always easier to have more things going on and have more time to cover things if you know how to do it well. Like, obviously, if you're a bad writer, it's probably harder to write longer, but I think as long as you're a good, capable writer and you have a good world, I think there's always so much to say because you're good at it and there's so much that you want to say. And also, like, how much, like, characterization and backstory you've given these characters. Like, even in, like, us three, our heads, we have so much backstory and so many things over these characters. Like, you over that one random lady who was, like, arguing, right? Like, we created an entire plot line for her.
My wife? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, your wife. Sorry,
100%.
yes.
Yeah.
But imagine, like, how many plots, like, George R.R. Martin probably has 10 different backstories for her that could be possible. Like, and that he came up with throughout the writing. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's so hard to do fantasy with standalone because there's so much going on. Like, how?
And I think especially with like world building and stuff, like there's always gonna be something. There's always gonna be some element of the world that you're never gonna have a reason to tell anybody. And like I think that's just writing in general.
Yeah.
Like I just wrapped up writing like a longer thing with one of my friends. It's like 100,000 words total. We wrote it over like a year.
Whoa.
But there are so many things in that world that we're just like, I know that this happened. I know that this is what happened to this person when, you know, when they were a kid. That has no relevance to, you know, anything else. I'm like, I'm never going to tell anybody. That's just a thing that I know. But I think it's, you know, having a fully fleshed out world and, you know, a magic system and, you know, lineages and houses and a political structure and a financial structure and everything like that. You can have all of that stuff, and having more stuff doesn't make a more concise story.
Yeah.
You know, like having lore, having, you know, like having all of the elements doesn't necessarily lead to a story that can be told in a satisfying way, because sometimes it's like, okay, well, you just threw out this information like I was already supposed to know it, and I don't fucking know anything about this. Or it's like, okay, well, you know, it's like, we obviously knew this. I'm like, okay, well, tell me more about that. Like, what's going on? And sometimes I feel like having too much information and too much of the outside plan, outside of the actual plot, is overwhelming sometimes. Like the amount of times that I've had to go back and look at a map and go back and look at a family tree, I'm just like, I would really love to hear like narratively what happens to these characters. Like and that may just be like my preference. I'm like, I like character driven story. I like, you know, specific conflict driven story. Something like this where it's like the era of this is happening and this lineage and this, and I'm just like, what's happening to this guy? Like, how's he feel about this? Like the individual characters, like I think, and even in the short story, I think that some of the characters are compelling. I think that they're interesting. I don't hate the main characters of this. Like, I think Dunk and Egg are fine. Like, you know, they're fun to follow. Now that I know more about
praise.
Yeah, now that I know more about them, I think that they're interesting. I'm like, okay, cool. But individual journey and their interactions and their like whatever is so much more interesting to me than the we've uncovered the political plot and here's the da-da-da and I can't believe this family is this, and I'm just like, what does Egg want to do? Like, what's Egg's POV? What's he thinking? You know?
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like the books probably, if this novella is anything to base it off of, I'm sure that a lot of the books is that big picture that happen to have small characters within it. You know what I mean?
Well, the books are, each chapter is a different POV character, and we
Right.
follow like a set of certain POV characters. So we get more fleshed out information, like we're in their heads more.
Yeah.
So the book, I would say, is much more character driven, but it does have really like big swooping plots. And I like both. Like I like a character driven story, but I also want to be like swept off my feet with the plot.
Yeah.
And I think the main series is like equal amounts of that.
I think I agree with that. I think the series is definitely both because, like you said, like with having the different POVs, it really does flesh it out more than if the whole thing was just like Bran and Bran's experience of everything. But then
Bless.
also like, I feel like
That's a nightmare. I'm so sorry. Imagining everything from Bran's perspective, I was like,
real,
ugh.
yeah. But then I also feel like everything would like, I feel like just because like there's like I remember now of you telling me once how many characters there were across the entire series.
Like
Yeah.
thousands, like thousands.
But I have this like specific memory of us like looking up what the number was. But anyway, so just my takeaway from that is just like I feel like as much as like all of those elements are important, I feel like there's only so much you can do when you have so many characters. Like there's always gonna be those random people where you're like, wait, but them. Wait, but them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would love to see George R. R. Martin's things of like, no matter how long on paper it would be, of like what each character is. I feel like that would be so fun for so many late night deep dives of just
yeah.
that one dude we saw once, this is his entire backstory. And like,
yeah.
I totally understand.
And you
like,
know he knows it. Like
Exactly.
you know he's
'Cause
got.
you
He's
can't
like,
write a
oh
good
yeah, this
story
is this
without
guy's
it.
deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Because otherwise, it doesn't make sense. But it's just like, I feel like there's just so many that he can't possibly do it all justice. But I agree. I think he does a good job of having both. Like, where it's like, there's so many characters, but there's also like, such swooping plots and like so much intensity at all times.
The thing is that like the plots are like orchestrated by these characters, and if you know the characters really well, you should see it coming. But the way it's written, like he can really write well. Like certain things, he like that Red Wedding chapter is so well written.
Okay.
So like you have experiences like us when we're not just like inhaling the book, we're actually like going a few chapters at a time, and we can dissect them, and you see these big things like the Red Wedding coming, but just because you're so attached to the characters, you don't want to believe it, so you ignore your intuitions. So I don't know, it's like an orchestra. Everything just has to work together.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like the tuba in the back that's like, some of the minor characters that, people don't pay. The conductor isn't paying as much attention to as he should be.
He's just like, just got one note. I'm just going to repeat that one, slow and steady.
Real.
They'll call on me in a little bit. It's okay.
Sleigh bases.
Turn the page,
love
you're
y'all.
like, oops, same note. Love that.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we really got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kate,
Yes.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How much do you regret
Yeah.
regret it?
Stop. That's
Not
so
at
funny.
all. This was
Giving hours of your time to this.
Listen, every podcast I do takes hours of my life, and I have enjoyed every single one I've ever been on.
We love having
This
you.
was so much fun. I loved this. Thank you.
I think I said this to you before, but I love I've like extra loved Game of Thrones since you've become a regular host because you're always saying what I'm thinking. Like when we're talking, like, you know, when you're listening to a podcast and somebody's like talking about something and you're like arguing
answer
with
back?
the podcasters in your head or like out loud. Well, I find myself going to do that, but then you make that point for me and I'm just like so gratified.
Real.
I love that. I love that so much.
I just appreciate your point of view so much. I just have to say. And also, I want to read your book.
Oh.
all those 2 English degrees that you've put into this. I want it.
It's dumb. I'll send it to you
Well,
after this. It's stupid.
Okay. Cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you can plug it here if you want, but I don't know if you do want to. But
yeah.
definitely plug the pod and anything else.
Yeah. So I am the freeloading co-host of Game of Thrones, which is a podcast where my sister finally watches Game of Thrones to see what all the fuss is about. She's almost done finding out what all the fuss is about. We are about to record. When is this going to come out?
In a couple weeks.
In a couple weeks. Okay. In that case, the episode that Nuv is on, where we are discussing episode 3 of season 8, will either have just come out or
I think the same week.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Game of Thrones comes out on Tuesday and
does.
ours will come out on Wednesday. So it should have just come
It
out.
came out yesterday. Go to Game of Thrones and check it out. But yeah, it's been so much fun. My sister is one of my favorite people to talk to about TV shows and movies and stuff. She's so smart. I adore her.
And she's great.
She's so good.
She's so
like
slay.
a great person in general.
She's delightful.
Go listen to the episode where Emily was on our pod.
So
Oh my God,
slay.
I listened to that. It was hilarious. Yeah, she is genuinely one of the funniest people I know. I love her. But yeah, I do that. We're Game of Thrones. I think we're Game of Thrones pod
I will find
on
all
stuff.
the links and things.
You're an angel. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
The
just
first-
like people look in the show notes section, that's where they'll
the
be.
first podcast
I listen to Emily say that every time. We're Game of Thrones pod on Instagram and technically Twitter.
That's
how she says it.
Technically Twitter, yes. Because I'm the only one who gives a shit about Twitter between the
And
two.
your
Between the two of
Ophelia
us.
Swims.
Yes.
S like 5.
Ophelia, like from Hamlet, 5 WIMS. I am on
There you go.
I am on Instagram and Twitter. Come talk to me about Game of Thrones or fan fiction or Our Flag Means Death. Also go to saveofmd.com to sign the petition to get it renewed. For
I
a
signed
third
the
season.
petition.
I
I learned
love you
about
so
it from
much.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, it needs to get a third season. There's a third and final season planned. You know me. I love a thing that ends, but I love a thing that ends the way that it planned to end. I have a lot of feelings about that. But yeah, that's me. Come talk to me about stuff. Tell me to read another book. I don't know.
Okay. As like a collective, I'm going to put our audience to finding a mode of, I was going to say transportation, but like mode of consuming media in which she can consume these books without actually having to read these books. You know what? Why don't you just listen to us bitch about it?
I was gonna say, I just need to listen to your fucking podcast.
Real.
I need to get my
Clearly
life
go
together
into
and do
too much
this.
detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
that's it.
listening to our podcast would probably be longer than you just reading it. But like in a good way.
It would
But the thing is,
definitely
it would
be.
stick better because you would hear all of
Honestly,
our
it would.
crackpot theory jokes.
Oh no, and y'all are much
Oh, no.
y'all are much funnier than George
R.
Robert Martin is. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if we're funny, but also those first several like dozens of episodes were so cringe.
No, the
I don't
first
even
like
I
10
can't even go back and
episodes,
listen
do
to
not
them.
listen to a single thing. Like get
No,
out.
welcome to
Like,
podcasting, dude. That's what it is. Are you
hate it
kidding
so
me?
much. When I look at our stats and people watch the first few and then leave,
You're like, don't.
It breaks my heart.
Leave.
I'm like literally. If you listen to something now
so
and you don't
mean.
like it, great. Like great, you just didn't connect with us. You know. If you
Yeah.
listen to the first couple and leave, that's like, no, that's not fair.
Okay, well, you're pleading to people who can't hear
You're
you,
like,
so
try again. Come back.
Literally, I'm like, that's why when I find like a new podcast, I just go to a random one, unless it's one where like sequence matters.
Yeah.
Like if I haven't seen the show at all and I don't want to spoil myself. But for most of them, when it's like random, I just go to a random one and I'm like, what?
but ours is sequential.
You just gotta
So-
No.
You
You
just
just got spoiled. They don't care which sequence they. Read
you
it
just you just gotta put a note at like the listener notes and just say, hey, it gets better. Just bear with us.
in. Oh my god! I think we talked about that once, but like as a joke.
Honestly,
Yeah,
why
okay.
not? The worst thing they do is not read it. And
Real.
You know.
I think I just want to say it in a way that doesn't make it sound like we're hating on past us. Like we'd really need to frame that. But I'd be down. I don't know.
I mean, we all grow. We learn by doing, and here we are. And you guys are brave for putting yourselves out there. That's the important thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I kind of just think it as like a documentation of our like phases of life.
Yeah.
Like the people we were 4 years ago are
God.
very different from the people we
yeah.
are now.
It's your middle school photos. Yeah, you're just like, look at that.
Oh my god.
For some of us, it's kind of actually our middle school.
What do you mean?
Harmouth was literally in high
Oh
school.
my god. I'm 98 years old.
That's funny. Oh my god.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening. I think we may have broken our record once again of the longest episode.
Which we
ever.
just did in the previous episode.
We keep doing it every
Oh my
new
God.
episode.
Yeah.
We just keep getting longer and longer. But you know what? It was worth it. It
Yeah.
was great to monopolize Kate's time like this. I'm just kidding. No, we did not want to do
no,
this.
please. Are you kidding me? I agreed to it.
I promise next time we have you on, we will do something shorter.
With more context, and we will start at an earlier time.
Yeah. Yes, context, ages, all of that.
No.
Names.
No, next time what I will do is send you all of the questions that I have like floating around. If they are relevant, answer them. If not, you're like, wait and see.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I think that
It was still fun to have like some of those moments of
Some
discussion.
of those
I
were
love
so
that.
entertaining.
Dunk is
I'm
20.
here for those. I love that. I love the journey we all went on together for this one.
Ooh, I like to think that through our efforts today, we improved Harmut's gaydar a little bit.
Oh my god, I can't.
We'll see how it goes in the future.
That's really so funny. Like, wow. She said clueless.
But yes, thank you.
Godspeed, darling.
Yeah. Listeners, you know what to do. Follow us on the things and send us emails. We got a couple more emails since the wrap up, but I'm going to save them for next time. And speaking of next time, we're going to be watching episode 2 of season 1 of Game of Thrones. So stay tuned.
I'm
for that.
so excited. You don't understand. And we're watching
I
that.
do.
We did
We're
that.
watching that literally in like 3 days. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Look at that.
Okay. So be ready, people. Until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.
Not today. All by myself. I'm on the Zoom all by myself. I need to go to bed. That's a little treat. Just for you, Nev, when you edit this podcast. Or Harmut, when you edit this podcast. What if I just started like saying spoilers for this show and just like put them out here? It's like, hey, in episode 1 of season 8, this happens. I hope you didn't hear this and just like get a shock of fear that I would actually say that. I deeply respect the no spoilers rule. You know that. But it would be funny.